All right, we're having technical difficulties on my end, obviously. Let's see if we can figure this out.
Just, you know, Chris is having some issues.
Yeah, that's a normal thing.
Chris having issues, yes.
He's an administrator. His life is fraught.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to figure out my end of this.
Oof.
You got to hold your mouth right, Chris, like you're bass fishing, man.
Love it. Hold on, I do apologize, man. This is not atypical. Oh my god, this is typical of what happens in my flipping stream. Everything was.
I was like,
great,
don't lie, don't lie.
Son of a bitch.
You do have a right to remain silent, though, Chris. Just letting you know.
I can't even hear you guys anymore. Okay. Guys, I will be right back. I think it has something to do with my headphones. So I am going to switch to my backup headphones. I'll be right back. I'm going to turn off my camera real quick. I'm back, guys. Let me see if I can figure this out now. I switched to some other headphones because these just died.
Your head gets bigger, I'm not sure.
Okay, cool. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, that was my headphones 100%. My headphones were dying on me. So now I just have to get your guys' audio because now I have to reset this. So it's 2. So let's just set this audio different. Yeah. So for some reason, Bill, I got to get those headphones, dude, because my battery is utterly dying on my headphones. And that's what... Yeah.
I will say this, they're pretty sexy. The last Coffee with the Cop we did, I just plugged mine into his.
And
that's how bougie they were.
Yeah. You don't have to call me sexy. It's okay.
There we go.
All that now. Come on.
All right.
That's a little much.
It was weird though because it was I hadn't really had that error yet, and now I had it, so it was like, wait a minute, this has to be headphone related. It can't be game related or OBS.
All right.
All right, I'm sorry. Let's get this show on the road here. That only took fucking 15 minutes. Sorry to the people on Nightcop. Oh, my hair's a mess now. I had it all shaped around my headphones. I'm gonna have to do the Bill thing.
I was about to say.
All right, ladies.
Yeah, and I'll make sure nobody gives you shit about the ponytail also, Chris.
Okay.
You go ahead.
Sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to our next episode of Coffee with Cops. We got to change our overlay because it actually, for the last month now, has been definitely Coffee with Cops. We have a special guest. We have Nightcop35. I have known Nightcop now for probably, gosh, since we met on Meet the Gamers. And
year ago.
Yeah, about a year ago. So I'll let Nightcop introduce himself because he is our guest today. However, I want to acknowledge the other Leos in this stream. So we're going to start off to what appears to be on my right. Your left is Josh from Only Cops. We got Josh and Bill from Only Cops. Bill right below him. Now both of them are. You're going to see them smile a lot more because they are retired. Their stress level is down.
Right.
Your stress level is utterly down, and Bill is mocking me with his Hawaiian "I'm relaxed" shirt. So
and my beard.
And your beard,
And
yes.
beard.
Oh,
Here
yes.
it is.
Yeah.
Here it is.
So for those of you that don't know, most law enforcement agencies, and we can ask Sternal and SWAT Theory, will not allow you to have a beard. I know in Southern California, we are pretty much a beardless still. We have to be clean shaven, and that's just by policy. Departments are starting to allow officers to get facial hair, but it's a slow process. So as much as I would love to have a beard, which I would love to have a beard, I know I could grow a glorious beard because on my days off, I let my beard grow. When I go on vacation, I let my beard grow. We can't do it, so I'm jealous right now. I have beard envy. I feel like that Black Rifle Coffee beard, you know, when we talk about beards. So then we got our brother down below, SWAT Theory, who has to be incognito because he is active Leo, and if his agency found out who he was, he would be with Josh and Bill on the next episode.
You guys aren't hiring, are you?
Come to the Texas. I got a
Maybe
spare
soon.
bedroom. Yeah, why not?
You can get into the reserve, man. Just go reserve.
Yeah. And then we have Sternal. Everyone knows SternalJet. He's another active Leo. Sternal's been on for a couple of years now, and Sternal gets to give you the perspective of. He's starting to. We're starting to hear Sternal talk a little bit, so he's starting to make his path down, being disgruntled.
Yeah.
Yes, he's starting to become. But you know what though? The good part about Sternal is Sternal has an experience that a lot of us have long forgotten, and he's able to provide that stuff. As you guys know in chat, sometimes people ask, well, what do you do to become a cop, or what do I need to do to become a cop, and stuff like that. And Sternal can give you that lay of the land of how to select, as well as military service as well, because a lot of people ask, well, does being in the military help you to become a cop? And Sternal could definitely say, yes, it does. So last but not least, we're going to let Nightcop35 tell us who he is. And if I hear X come out of his mouth one time in this stream, I'm going to go down to Georgia and I'm going to strangle him.
The devil went down to Georgia.
Exactly. So hey guys, I'm gonna bring up a little thing. So I was in, and I'll tell you where this comes from, and I know Josh and Bill could agree with this. So I was in his stream, and he streams on Twitch. And one day he called himself. He goes, "Well, I'm not an active," because someone asked him, "Are you an active Leo?" And he said, "No, I'm an ex-Leo." And it just, that word "ex" just kind of pissed me off, because to me, and when you guys hear his story, he's not an ex-Leo. He got into the fight for his life, almost got killed, and because of his injuries, he wasn't able to return back to the job. The city fucked him over. They had him sign a bunch of documents that said basically you're never going to come back and be a cop again, and he subsequently didn't get the medical retirement and all that stuff. You know, not like cities don't screw us, right? So,
Right.
but I was like, hey, dude, you're not an ex-cop. You're a retired Leo. And, you know, you could say you're a former police officer, retired police officer, but to me, you are not an ex. I always say ex-cops and are like the people who did something wrong and they're no longer a cop. Because that's what the news says. Oh, it's an ex-law enforcement officer that did this, ex-law enforcement officer. So it's like, no, you're not ex. You're still part of the blue. I mean, you fucking bled blue for your community and you weren't able to go back to work. So, but Knight, why don't you tell?
I appreciate that, man.
Why don't you tell our viewership, because Only Cops has their viewership and SWAT Theory has his viewership, and Sternal, we're trying to build him up as well. But I don't think my community knows you unless they've gone to your channel. But why don't you tell us a little about yourself? That'd be great.
Well, I'm Nightcop35, and a lot of people ask about the uniform. Now, this is an actual uniform I had with one of the departments that I work for. If anybody knows about budgets, it wasn't in the budget to get me more than, I had one winter uniform. I wanted at least two more. So I went to the chief. Nope, it's not in the budget. So I went to the lieutenant who handles all the supplies and equipment. And I said, what if I paid for them? So I bought two winter uniforms and one extra summer uniform that came out of my pocket. That's how I still have the uniform, because I paid for it. Anything you get from a department, you have to sign for it. So when you leave, you got to turn it in and then sign that you turned everything in, and then the lieutenant or whoever handles the equipment, they also sign saying, okay, yes, he turned the flashlight and this in, and the gun belt and the basket weave. And so people ask, how do I got this uniform? Well, I went to a costume thing. I needed it for Halloween. That's the no. But this is a real uniform. I wear it because the uniform, the Nightcop35, is all part of my character. It's all part of the Twitch. You know, I don't hear anybody giving, what's his name, Dr. Disrespect any shit about wearing a flight vest.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Shots fired.
And he wears a wig. But this is just my character. I was law enforcement for 17 years. I was injured in the line of duty and taken out of law enforcement. I was not ready to get out of law enforcement. It's all I knew how to do. The only option I had was go be a security guard in some parking lot, guarding a telephone pole with my trooper hat and my whistle, screaming, stop, or I'll say stop again. I mean, I had nothing else.
Yeah.
So, but I never went into security after I was injured and I recuperated. But I didn't want to do it. So I do have 17 years. I wish I could say like Chris, he's got 30-something years or 25 years.
25.
Is it 25?
Yeah.
25.
I
would still be out there.
I almost pulled the plug last night. I was telling Bill. I was like,
Really?
I was done. I actually was about to call my wife and say, I'm coming home. I'm done. I'm tired. I can't do this anymore.
Josh, I think that's our fault.
That's 100%. I'm sorry. It's a cancer. We are a cancer.
So,
Wow.
So Knight, real quick, you mentioned something that, so here, hey, Knight, I was going to say, you and the boys from Only Cops definitely have a lot in common. And when I met Josh and Bill, the first thing I thought of, because, you know, you have your show called The Blue Zone, and I just heard that you guys are going to be on it, was they do the same thing they do a little bit different. But the cool part is that just like you, Knight, they actually, when they break down videos, they're pretty honest when it comes to, like, if the cop fucked up, they say the cop fucked up. They're not like,
Correct.
While they're 100% blue, they'll still say, hey, he shouldn't have done that. And a prime example is me being on your show as well. I've seen you say that too. You and I both have even discussed when I was on the Blue Zone about people who, hey, well, why did the cops do that, or why did they do that? Especially you've shown some recent videos of California stuff, and you know we all know the Republic of California is
Yeah.
it's California. Hey, so I do have a question that came up, and anyone can answer this question real quick. Someone asked, and because we all know this is driven by the movies, have you guys ever crossed paths with FBI on an operation? So anybody ever?
Yes.
You have Knight?
Well, when I say cross paths, they were at the department talking to the chief and the chief deputy or deputy chief, and they were doing something, but they were standing in the chief's office, and they came out in the hallway, and me and two others are just there. So I didn't work with them, but the FBI was in the building talking to the chief and the deputy chief and working out something. So, but it wasn't. It was above my pay grade. So I didn't ask.
Okay. Well, see, so for me, we have a detective assigned to the FBI, but I think I know what the question is driven from, because you guys, we've all seen the movies where the FBI rolls in and you're like, the FBI, we're here, and you know, we're in charge. And it's like, they don't, I mean, I've never experienced that. They don't do that because, number one, they don't get to just say they come in charge, because they have to call someone higher than them, who has to call someone higher than them. And I'll tell this quick little story to give an example of that. So one of our churches, we had this really weird church in our city, and the minister, whatever you want to call him, he was back like from the olden days. He was saying that women only could wear skirts, they barefoot in the kitchen, and the community was in an uproar, right? He was against gays, and he had this huge negative following. Well, anyways, his church blew up. Someone blew his church up. They threw a couple of pipe bombs in there, blew it up. Well, you know, we're coordinating it. We got everything going on. The FBI shows up, ATF shows up, everyone shows up. And the FBI agents, they're great. I mean, they're like, hey, what do you guys need? They're not taking over the case. They said, hey, Washington knows about this. We're waiting to get some feedback on this, la, 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 la. Long story short, about 4 o'clock in the morning, The FBI agent walks up to me, really cool guy, says, "Hey, Lieutenant Kano, I'm gonna let you know right now, we're gonna be taking over this incident. I got the call from Washington. It's now ours." And I'm like, "Cool." It's like, hey. And so then he does his official, "I'm Agent so-and-so with the FBI at 04:12 hours. We are now taking control of the scene." And I'm like, "It's yours. It's all yours, right?"
Yeah, no shit. You can have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
That's probably the biggest misconception that I think is constantly perpetrated is like people arguing about wanting to work the call. Like, hell
no, you can have it. You
argue
happy
over
meal,
who's gonna
FBI.
have to work it.
That's like when you're working day shift and you get a fraud call. And they're like, it's like 916 fraud call. You're like, oh, darn it. And then they air the address and you're like, that's county. City, it's county, yes.
Like it is never.
We never got that lucky.
You might bitch about it being someone else's. Like I could totally see if the FBI showed up, be like, "Hey, that crossed state lines."
Right.
Like this, or if it's an interagency issue, that sounds like a state agency thing. Like I'm a local municipal cop. Like this is not in my purview.
I'm a little guy.
Exactly.
Our department had a single officer who worked he was on an FBI task force.
Yeah.
So they had a good relationship with the FBI, but I don't ever remember the FBI like coming in.
Yeah, right.
I worked with the ATF once. Sucked.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Chris. I've worked with the FBI. I can't go into details because it's pretty easy to find event. But when I was working with them, I noticed two things. One, like Chris said, they're very professional. The one guy I was working with was actually kind of a nerd, and I loved it because he loved his job. Like he had to go work the grocery store shooting in Colorado, I think. I'm trying to remember which Boulder. Yeah, the Boulder, Colorado shooting. And I was talking with him when he was working with me, and I feel bad for those guys because if they take control of the scene, the amount of just reconstruction and stuff they have to do is a nightmare. He said if that guy launched a round through an aisle full of chips, I'm getting my strings and dowel rods out, and I got to mark every angle and every spot that got hit by that bullet, which can take upwards of like a week. Then he starts going into like ricochets and collateral and fragmentation. I go, good Lord, I don't envy your job. He goes, yeah, if we show up, we're going to be here for a while. And they stayed at that scene for about, I want to say 5 days to a week. And I was fortunate enough to be able to go and talk with a lot of them because I was there at the beginning of the incident. So they kind of knew my face and I could ask questions and get information I probably shouldn't have been allowed to have. But they were really cool guys and there was no bickering over it.
Yeah.
It was one of those, hey, like Chris said, this field office contacted this regional office, which contacted the head person in charge of this region, and we got the go-ahead. And it's kind of like, you guys got the manpower and the resources. We can't stay on this for a week. But they're pretty cool guys. Nobody's coming up badging you and saying, get out.
I know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that really comes down to why this misconception comes up. And it's a sexy storyline to, oh, this is my case or whatever. Most of this does come down to resources.
Yeah.
You can look at also like SWAT units, for instance, like when within our city, we're like the 7th largest in tech. We're a huge city. So like smaller municipalities around us, when their SWAT team wasn't available or they only had like 5 guys in their SWAT team, if they were out of city or they were out of state doing some training, we would step in. But it was the only time, and it was typically by request of whoever had jurisdiction over that area. We didn't have our own helicopter. We had to ask for Fort Worth's helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, again, did we need that asset? Yes, but it was hey, can you please do it? And so would call so-and-so that would approve so-and-so, and then eventually this thing would pop up in the air. But it's most of the time it's not a jurisdictional argument, it's a resource argument. And whether or not we can justify that the crime that is afoot requires that level. Because the FBI is not going to come in and go deal with like a burglary. Like, I don't give a fuck. But like,
are you sure about that?
Yeah, it depends on who's getting burgled, right? But a lot of that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that a lot of that comes down to resources, and especially when it comes to the interest of if it's interstate commerce or whatever, you do need that level of sophistication if it's a very sophisticated investigation. So
I wanted to throw something out there real quick, guys. So a couple people. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you guys know this, but I read every comment of every video I do. I mean, and it was easier. It was easier when I had 1,000. When I had 1,000 followers, it was easy, right? Now that but anyways, so it does take me a while now before I was able to respond daily. But now I'll actually spend I'll have my computer open and anyways. But so people will ask, I don't know if that's if you say that, if that's true, or, you know, so people question my, you know, my experience or question my stories, right? And I wanted to throw this out there because I want you guys to kind of say hi to him. So in my chat is a guy, his name is Mounty621. Well, Monty621. Monty621 is actually a guy I worked with for 20 years. He was on our SWAT team. He retired. He's out in Idaho, so he's like you, Josh, and Bill. He's happy. He has a glorious beard. Oh my gosh, he is like, his beard's like he's like a mountain man. Awesome dude. He was our breacher on our SWAT team for the whole entire time he was on SWAT team. He's got, I mean, and you should see SWAT theory. You should see him. He looks like a breacher. I mean, this guy's like, whoa, just like. And he's a gun fanatic, so he probably belongs in Idaho or Texas. And but he's a good guy. And the whole thing is that when I tell stories, there's other officers that I don't know their tags that are in here that I work with, and they say, "Oh, I saw your stream last night." So that's why I have to keep it real. I can't embellish because anybody could come in here and say, "You're so full of shit. You know that didn't happen. That's not your story. That was someone else on." So that was the thing. But so Monty621. That's his part of his nickname. You know, we never, you know, so his name, because his name was something else, but we named him Monty, and of course his badge number was 621. But yeah, so he's in the stream. He's been retired now for a couple of years, and just like you, Knight. He had at the end, he had a lot of injuries that kind of prevented him from doing what he loved. But I know he was building a house out in Idaho, and this is actually the time when I run into him and some forth like that. So he's in our stream right now. So he's he's actually
telling you to retire.
He is. It's like, oh, I know. Trust me.
Well, and as far as the conversation we were having earlier, it takes him one try for all those 8 inches if he was a breacher. And they built them boys different. Like, she's the one we had
eight tries, yeah.
He said 8 tries.
8 tries.
Hey, so
8 attempts.
So
breacher after my own heart.
Yes, we know.
Yes, sir.
So I have a question. Would you mind telling your story of how you became to be retired, if you don't mind? I know it's a tough story.
I don't mind, but it takes a while too.
That's cool.
And I don't want to just hog the mic.
No,
I like being the statue here because I'm an introvert.
No.
You know, I'm a very shy person.
We all love to hear it, and that's why you're here with us, is because, you know, Josh, Bill, you know, they talked about what, you know, the reason why they're at where they're at. Of course, Sternal and SWAT can only say so much about what they're currently doing because they're currently Leos as well. But you're here because we want this community to meet you, and we want them to definitely head on over to Twitch because, you know, you're on Twitch more than you're on YouTube, and we want to get as many people to be interested in your channel
Perfect. Thank you.
Your story is what drives the interest in you. It's not like you just decided one day to retire from law enforcement and put this uniform on and then start doing breakdowns and stuff like that. There's a whole backstory to kind of like why you're here, where you're here, and everyone here has a backstory. So I want the community to know what your backstory is.
Let me run to the little girl's room first.
Okay, dude.
And I call it the little girl's room. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, you and Sternal are like, you take so many breaks, and that's what I.
My bladder's only about that big. I'll be right back.
Okay. I will say, dude, there was this time when we got to teach him how to turn off his camera when he gets out of his chair because normally he doesn't. Normally he doesn't wear pants.
He's trying to flex on everybody with that secret leg.
Interesting. You know?
Yeah.
Well,
Didn't know that.
Well,
It's inappropriate to not wear pants when we're on here.
We are lucky I have underwear. Oh, very lucky.
Oh my gosh.
So we have on Chris on your chat. We got a guy named Harrison. He said he's taking his first test in the academy. They've gone over probable cause, reasonable suspicion, case law, Terry versus Ohio, Hendrickson, Kingsley versus Hendrickson, and also Michigan versus Long. And he's wondering if we can talk about some of that, maybe.
Graham versus Connor is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understand that one through and through, especially for a test over probable cause and reasonable belief and all that, since that's basically through the eyes of you at that time.
That's not going to be an easy test either.
No.
Right.
I would
What?
first. Oh, go ahead, Josh. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I was gonna say that the issue with these tests too is like the people
It's
that work
fraud.
these tests are. It's so
Yeah.
it's
Right.
not it's objective and there's an objective standard,
But it's
they
subjective.
often. I was like, the problem is how you're interpreting it is very subjective. And so
Mhm.
it's really just about, kind of like he said, the case laws are really there so you can understand the concept. Because all it is
Right.
applying the concept to the circumstances or to the situation. It's not, a lot of people grow up in academic circles and there's equations for everything. And it eventually,
that.
in
Studying-
practice,
Yeah, it's not like that.
yeah. In practice, yes, so and so has bodily injury, they're in a relationship, whatever. This is domestic assault, but like
Right.
how you get to that conclusion and developing, your reasonable suspicion to even be getting into the investigation. That's really where the subjective aspect of it, and that's where the concepts and why case law is so important.
Right.
So I would spend 99% of your time just really digging into the case law and understanding
Yeah.
the why. Because it's really like,
Mhm.
what did the officer see? What did the officer how did the officer interpret what he saw, and then how did he articulate it in a report that was able to generate X, Y? Because all of this is all about articulation. You can have the same two officers see the same thing and react in very different, in the exact same way, but depending on how you articulated that in a report, one guy's going to grand jury and the other guy's just going on to the next call. It's a very
Exactly.
different, yeah. It's you have to know how to explain your authority, and it's the one time that we talk about cops screwing the pooch is you have the authority, articulate it. Don't say just because
Right.
that little word that you do, well, because I said so. There you go. Some defense attorney's about to go fucking
Yeah.
murder you.
Yeah,
We
he's
worked
about
with
to have a
a-
good time.
We
Yeah,
worked
some
with a
of my
guy like
dad's-
that, and he had so many cases kicked, so many arrests kicked, and it's like, but the problem is no one ever took him aside and said, "Hey, listen, dude, you can't be doing this.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you're doing it for like minor petty things right now. You're gonna get the wrong person in one of these situations, and they are going to hem you up big time for an unlawful arrest.
Yep.
And it's gonna happen to him unless somehow he's changed how he does things, but I doubt it.
I-
Fucking
Now,
Yeah,
since we're
so-
all here, I did want to ask, in watching all these videos, you too, Uncle Bill,
I
do
love this
any
theory.
of you, when you put a prisoner or a suspect in your back seat, they're handcuffed, you patted them down.
Right.
Does anybody go back and open the door and have a Jerry Springer moment with these guys? Like,
No.
why did you run that? Why did you run from me? Why did you do? I've never done that, but in these damn videos, especially cops playing for the camera, they're constantly opening the door, having a conversation with this fucktard, and I'm like, why are you doing that?
That's where you.
So I can actually touch on that for our department,
Hell
unfortunately.
yeah, here it is.
So because
Here we
of,
go.
so because of
Go ahead,
policy,
Batman, do it.
yeah. I have stupid coworkers.
Man, I hope your coworkers never figure out who you are.
Yeah.
The
No, it's
reason
okay.
I'm
They're gonna
asking
know
is
real
'cause
quick.
I tell my chat all the time, all my viewers, like, we don't do that.
No.
Yeah.
So since all of us are retired police officers or active police officers, I just wanted my chat to know what I'm saying is true.
It is true.
We don't do that shit.
What were you what were you gonna say to that, SWAT?
So it used to be the
Go ahead,
longest
Fly.
time when I'd get some dumbass that would fight with me, run from me, flee, whatever. When it's all said and done, you've been shaken down. You've got no guns, hopefully, or bombs or anything crazy on you. No needles, no nothing, no lighters. Get you handcuffed, put you in my back of my car, which is very confined. It's not a full bench seat. It's the newer, I guess, prisoner compartment. And you know what every cop's going to do? They're going to sit at their terminal before they go for the jail and be like, okay, this is the charge, this is where it happened, this is the time, this is the guy, this is the information. Done. Not going to go to the jail, drop them off. Now sit in the back and shake the shit out of him like, why'd you do that?
Right.
Now,
Right.
what happened that changed policy for that, where we now have to stand outside the car half the fucking time now, is somebody decided it'd be a good idea to handcuff this piece of shit in the front. Not necessarily a terrible idea, depending on size or how compliant they are, or injuries or stuff like that. To like 20% or 20 to 80, I can kind of get it, but it's still like a sure about that? Problem 2. 2. Guy was cracked out, 120-pound skinny dude. And this was a bench seat. And you all know the old Crown Vics. Pull the plastic, slide the window over. You see where this is going, right?
Oh, no.
So, as he's sitting there talking to the guy, he then decides a good idea to turn around, open this thing so he can be spit on and everything else, talk with him. And he says something to the effect of, hey man, my phone's in there, I can't call for a ride from the jail or get my wallet, some stupid menial bullshit inside the house. He goes, oh, okay, I'll get it for you. Leaves the car running, gets out of the car. Everybody knows where this is going. He goes inside, grabs a thing, comes out.
No patrol unit.
Oh, yeah. So ever since
His
then...
patrol unit's in a 1080.
Oh, yeah. Well, fortunately, he had GPS, so they found it, and the dumbass actually drove to his own home, where he was promptly tackled out of the car. But ever since then, the policy now is somebody...
So.
Oh, yeah. So now there's policy where somebody has to always be with the prisoner at all times, which usually involves being outside with the door cracked open. So if they do try and do something stupid, you could just grab them by their pants and drag them back into the seat, or seatbelt them in, which never hardly works because they just lean over and click it off. Yep. But yeah, so that's why you'll see a lot of cops in my area stand at the outside this door, look like they want to kill themselves because some people did some dumb stuff.
But you know,
see, I had a cage.
Long ago.
I mean, I had a metal cage. There was no way to open it or close it. The worst thing they could do is spit. Yeah. And then that's when you say they resisted arrest and you slap the shit out of them. But I'm sorry, they resisted arrest. I don't know how he got that handprint across his face.
Sternal and I are like,
I can't do that. We have cameras everywhere.
So we did too, but for the longest time, going back to like the 80s and 90s and stories I heard from my father, who was a deputy before I was born. If somebody did something stupid, they did what's called waffled them. Which, I mean, they're sitting back there spitting on, all this other stuff. You just scream, dog, or deer, and slam on the brakes. You just hear, Kirk!
Yep.
And
it's called a screen test.
Yeah.
It's called a screen test.
Which is twofold, because deputies would know when you got there if you're an asshole or not, when you got out of the car and you've got...
This is where the scream is going.
I'll stop talking now.
I plead innocent of all charges.
Yeah, so
I'm innocent.
To bring an educational aspect to this, I think what we're really getting at is that SOPs and the standard operating procedures, for those of you that are not in law enforcement, get developed over fuck-ups. Yeah, fuck-ups happen, SOPs get updated. Fuck-ups happen, SOPs get updated. And even if they're in place, like you said, I'm sure everyone here, the GOs was to handcuff from behind their back. That's handcuffing position. Right. ASP has been teaching that for decades.
Right.
And then on top of that, again, search incident to arrest, or again, frisking someone amongst detaining them if you can articulate, your reasoning for it and things of that nature. But when it gets fucky, and again, everyone continues when we have these, conversations, they always apply that scenario, assuming that the person that we're handling is like a Mary Sue.
Hey, I just want to let you guys know DC's calling too, so.
Oh, they're really good at that.
You got Sternal, you're SWAT.
I'm starting to feel bad. Stern.
Yeah.
Okay, he does, ladies and gentlemen, he does talk.
Yes. No, he does.
Go ruin his career. Let's do it.
So hey, real quick though, I want to say something about what SWAT theory said, and Josh, you were hitting a point. We all at work can tell you a certain policy has a certain name attached to it. There's every policy that we have. Because some dumbass decided to do like SWAT theory you're talking about right now. There's some dumbass that didn't think it was, didn't know it was a really good idea to leave a prisoner in a running, Yeah. So, anyways, that's enough of that.
Don't be too cruel. I've got policy named after me.
Well, you get these coffee cups and it says content is hot. No shit. That means somebody at some point dropped it in their lap at McDonald's.
That's
and
the
they
story.
Had to put a warning that this shit is hot.
That's actually the loss.
That's SOPs.
That's actually the lawsuit. That's actually the real lawsuit. A woman got a hot cup of coffee at McDonald's and it spilled on her, and she's like, "I didn't know it was hot." You just fucking ordered hot coffee. What did you think it was?
Actually, there's more details to that because I got curious to look it up.
Oh, you did?
The coffee was So it's like a 20-minute story, but I'm gonna condense it to like 30 seconds. So long story short, McDonald's figured out that they'd sell coffee. People would bitch they get to work, it's too cold to drink, or it was no longer warm. So instead of being at like a safe 108 degrees, they made this coffee at like 240 or some
Oh
shit.
shit!
And they would give the coffee out. Well, the cup disintegrated in the girl's lap. With the hospital, she called McDonald's like, "Hey, your coffee was way too hot for the doctor. We need you to kind of fix my medical bills," and that's it. McDonald's basically said, "We'll give you $6 and an egg McMuffin." And so she talked to the hospital, and they got an attorney, and she had to sue McDonald's because McDonald's said, "Nope, not our fault."
Oh.
Until somebody went in and found out that the coffee was being made like above boiling when they'd give it to people. So that's been a smear campaign for McDonald's to try to shame her from getting money for them for her medical bills for years, and that's kind of where that went from.
There you go.
There's one of the YouTube rabbit hole things I found, but
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. They still started doing that, so they don't have liability for the caution thing because their lawyers did the same thing, going, "Well, now we have to pay her out, but let's do this," and it's like, "Oh well, we warned you." You're absolutely right.
I mean, it's the same thing with the SOPs. Did anybody hear about the RV in North Carolina?
Oh,
He's an
wait,
idiot.
we don't talk. We
Guys
don't
in
talk.
RV.
We don't talk about North Carolina in this chat.
Is that still a state, or is that its own country? I don't remember.
I hope Michael's watching. Oh my god! I hope Michael's watching.
He said he was watching, so.
So
But this idiot has an RV, and he gets up while he's going down the road to fix a cup of coffee in the back.
Oh Jesus Christ!
And then he
Whilst driving?
sued because there was no warning. It was a recreational vehicle, and there's no warning saying that it won't go on autopilot, and I can't just get up and walk around.
What the
And he
fuck?
won. He won.
He's definitely from.
Now
North
you'll see
yeah,
the
that's a North Carolina story.
yeah, original.
He's in the chat.
Yeah, he
I
speaks the same language as I do, probably, which is red billy. It's a mixture between redneck and hillbilly. That's my language because I'm from L.A. For those who don't know, I am from L.A., which is Lower Alabama. And yeah, we go there.
So, Knight, I'm going to give you some background on North Carolina. We have a fellow Leo from North Carolina, and he's now in K9 school, but he games with us, and he did Coffee with the Cop with us. But because he's from North Carolina, I mean, and you know, N and C, we call it Noro Charles. It's like, don't Noro Charles it. So whenever we fuck up, we said, you know, don't North Carolina it. So when you brought up North Carolina, it was great because he's in my chat right now, and he's like, oh my god.
Sorry, guy. I'm not even bringing out my passport. I'm not trying to enter the country of North Carolina, buddy. It's all yours.
Hey,
They wouldn't let my little southern hick ass in there anyway. So.
all right. Well, Knight, let's hear your story. I know you got a cigarette there. You got some coffee, so let's hear it.
Oh,
Don't die on us.
Okay.
Don't die on us.
Please no.
no, but when I tell the story, I really, really try to stay separated from what I'm saying, if that makes any sense, because I don't like to get emotional. And when you're telling a story, and every one of these guys on the screen will tell you, when you're in a courtroom and you're testifying, we were trained to bring the jury to the scene with us, so details matter. So if you saw a Tonka truck in the yard, I'm going to say that on the stand. I walked and I stepped over a little Tonka truck. It was yellow and, you know, whatever. It's courtroom etiquette. It's an in-service class that you can take. I don't know. Does every state have in-service hours?
Yeah.
Keep your certificate or your arrest powers?
Yep.
Okay.
Continuing
We call
education.
block training for us, but yeah, it's the same thing.
Continuing
I-
education.
There it is.
Yeah, that's what they call it. We have to do 20 hours in the state of Georgia. I always did 40, 60. You know, it's free classes. I'm signing up. Shotgun trauma, that's me. I want it. So, but I try to stay separated when I tell the story. And as you know, on Meet the Gamers, I didn't. So I try to separate myself from what I'm saying because I don't want to relive it. And when I tell the story, I'm kind of reliving it.
Yeah.
So just bear with me.
Of course.
But anyway, I pulled a car over, and I got three. I'm skipping some parts here because it's not relevant. But I got 3 kilos of cocaine out of the spare tire in the trunk,
Jeez.
and this guy was ready to roll over his mama, his stepmom, and his father. I mean, he's not going to jail. And if you'd see the guy, you'd know he's not prison material. Okay, he'd be like cousin Henrietta in prison. Bubba and Guido would love this guy. So he told us about a shipment, a big shipment coming from Florida going to Chicago, Illinois. Well, they got to go right up Interstate 75, right through the state. Gave us a vehicle description and the time it was supposed to be there, because he was supposed to be the driver, but the driver on this load got sick. He couldn't go, so he took this one instead of the other one. That's why he knew the details. So I'm a traffic unit. I'm deputized. I'm a city police officer, but at the time I was deputized. In other words, I still have jurisdiction in the county with the authorization of each incident by the sheriff. I can't just go out in the county whenever I want to. It has to be authorized. But I am deputized. So we're out there. I got GSP. Well, he came up later. But I got a deputy sheriff with me and myself, and we're waiting for this vehicle to come by. Now, as a traffic unit, I'm not assigned to a zone. I can float. And what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is each officer that's a regular patrol officer, they'll say, you're in zone 1, you're in zone 2, you're in zone 3, and you can't leave that area unless it's to back up an officer hollering for backup. So me, I can go to any of the 4 zones I want to. I'm just a floater, like the sergeant or the lieutenant, which I was not. I was never any rank. I was just a grunt traffic unit police officer. I did what I was told.
God bless.
So I'm out there. Yeah, I never wanted to be any kind of rank because I don't like politics. I don't want to work a day shift. That's why they called me, my nickname as a police officer before, they used to call me K9 because I'd get a lot of drugs. And then they called me Nightcop because I was offered about 4 times to go to day shift. And I said, no, I want to stay 6 at night, 6 in the morning. So they said, oh, you're just a freaking night cop. Correct. So we're out there on the interstate waiting for this vehicle. As a floater, the only time I'm going to handle a call, dispatch is going to say station 35 and then give me the call, is when all other units are 10-6, which means busy unless urgent. If they're tied up on a call, then I'm the only available 10-8 unit, so I have to handle that call. And so the case of this night, we got a 10-10 in progress at the Pizza Hut. 10-10 means fight. So there is a massive fight going on because, you know, us Southern people don't know how to act in public. So inside this Pizza Hut, everybody's fighting. All available units go 1076 to the Pizza Hut. 1076 means en route. And 10 codes, ladies and gentlemen, are different in California, different in North Carolina. I mean, I'm just giving you my 10 codes. So you might look up a 1076 if you live in Illinois and it means something totally different. So I get a call, station 35, got a 911 hang-up call. I'm waiting for this vehicle. It's supposed to have like 18 kilos of cocaine and a whole bunch of cash in the trunk. So I'm leaving, and while we were sitting there, a GSP officer pulled up. He didn't know what we were doing. He just pulled up to bullshit and tell war stories while we're waiting. War stories is, that's where we embellish shit that happened to us in the line of duty. Oh yeah, you should have seen this guy. He was like this big, you know, when he was like here. But so we're bullshitting. I get this 911 hang-up call. I've handled 1,000, if not more, of 911 hang-up calls. It's usually some kid, 2, 3, 4 years old, playing on the phone. Or an older kid playing Mary Had a Little Lamb on the phone. No big deal. I'm pissed off because I got to leave the interstate. I'm cussing all the way there. This son of a bitch, I'm gonna put him in timeout. You stand over here, you sit over there. If I come back, everybody's going to jail. I mean, that's my attitude. I just want to get back to the interstate. I pull up to this trailer. It's a single wide trailer. Thing should have been condemned. Nasty ass trailer. In a trailer park. But when I say trailer park, each trailer was far away from the next one. In other words, they actually had a yard. But the yard was like clay, gravel, dirt. So, and up the steps, there's 3 steps that goes up to this single wide trailer. And when you get to the top of the steps, you're on this small, tiny little platform, a little balcony. This balcony is not even big enough to put a barbecue grill on. It's just a place to stand for somebody can open the door. So I pull up, and again, I've dropped my guard. This is a 911 hang-up call. It's not a domestic. It's nothing. Nobody's fighting. It's just keep the kid away from the phone.
Right.
I get out of my patrol unit, and there's not a pathway. It's just dirt and rocks going to the stairs. And I notice as I'm walking towards the stairs, there's like a 7 or a 9 iron that's laying in the grass. There's a little patch of grass next to the skirting of this trailer, just laying there. You could tell it'd been there for a while. I just recorded that. I don't even know why that was so important. I just recorded it. That could be a weapon. Because as a police officer, when you go to the mall, you go to a restaurant, everybody gets out of the car and they see the pretty lights and everything. I see the dumpster way over here on the left and some guy standing over there. I see 2 guys over here sitting in their vehicle just watching everybody, and a guy over here drinking a beer sitting behind the driver's seat. I mean, we see things differently. We're just trained to scan. And that's what I was doing. I was just scanning, just not even realizing what you're doing. You just do it. I go up the stairs. Here's my dumbass, and I've got my mag light in my hand. This one right here. I got my mag light, and I knocked on the door like I always do. I just tapped the mag light on the door. Now, this is a trailer door. It's metal. Swings out, not in. So, didn't realize that until it was too late. So I knocked on the door, standing right in front of the door. That was a screw up in the beginning. We're trained in the academy, and usually everything you learn in the academy, when you graduate, you forget about it, and then you come out and get street smart, right? I'm standing right in front of the door, where I know better. Not to the right, not to the left, because we usually look for windows. So if there's a window on the right, I'm not standing there. I'm standing on the left, and vice versa. So, but not this time. I'm pissed off. I'm only thinking about that vehicle out on the interstate. I need to get back out there, because here's the thing. Everything we get on that stop out at the interstate, I get to seize that vehicle. I get to seize that money that goes to our department for equipment. And I seize the drugs, obviously. If I'm not there at the scene, it's going to go to the county. So I'm in a hurry. Behave, or everybody goes to jail. I'm leaving. I got to go. I'm standing in front of the door. And this door, when I knocked on it, this door exploded open. He didn't just, I had to jump back to keep the door from hitting me. And I felt the wind of the door. And it doesn't have that little chain, as you'll see on most trailers. There's a little chain in the corner that'll stop it so far and it'll come back. That wasn't there. Right behind me is the rail to this little balcony. And it's about a 3.5, 4 foot drop because of the way the ground slopes at this trailer. It's not level, it's not even. That door exploded, and I didn't have time to do anything. When it exploded, I jumped back, but I remember looking back to make sure I didn't flip over that balcony. It hit me in the lower back. That's how high the balcony was. If you leaned against it, it'd be about right above your belt line. Well, above my belt line, because I'm 5'6". This guy rushes me. This guy's 260 pounds, about 6'2". He rushes me, and this guy hits me so hard that we both flip over this balcony. When we land, I remember it was all in slow motion. A lot of people don't understand that, but if you've ever been in a tragic event or moment, you'll understand what I'm saying. Everything just slows down. I remember seeing my feet up in the air. This guy's kind of sideways on me, and when we landed, I landed on my neck and spine with him on top of me. Should have broke my neck immediately, but it didn't. But what it did do is it dazed me. I remember when I landed, for that few seconds, I had no idea where I am. Knocked the wind out of me, and I'm dazed. Like, what was going on? This 260-pound, 6'2" guys landed on top of me. I'm totally dazed, trying to figure out what am I doing here? When I did get my thought process back, this guy has mounted me now, like in UFC, how you mount somebody, and he's just huge fucking fist, and he's just plowing me in the face, in the neck, just raining punches down on me. He had no weapon, but his fists were a weapon. The way I landed was not flat on my back. When my neck and spine hit the ground, the way my feet went down, because my feet was the last, or my legs was the last thing to hit the ground. I was kind of sideways. I wasn't like laying flat on my back. So my gun, and I've got a Glock 23 in a level 3 holster. A level 3 holster means I got to push down, pull forward, and then slide it out. So a suspect can't just reach over and grab my gun in a fight. There's like a combination to it. My gun is between my hip and the dirt or the clay. So I can't get my weapon. And he's just plowing down on me. There's 2 people there. I didn't realize that. But when I looked sideways, there's a guy standing in the doorway of this trailer where the 260-pound dude just came from. I later found out that's his son. I didn't know that at the time. But then I flashed back to that golf club. I'm thinking, I can picture this guy coming down the stairs, grabbing that damn golf club, that iron, and coming up behind me and beating me in the head with it. That's what's going through my mind at this time. When I saw the guy, I heard him scream, "Sick it!" And I saw this huge, and when I say huge, I'm not talking about a medium-sized pit bull. This thing was huge. Come down the stairs, turn the corner, and come straight at my face. And I remember, now I'm still getting beat on. This guy's still, and I remember at one point, he leaned down in my ear and said, "Die, motherfucker, die!" I mean, that's what he's, in his breath. Oh, you can't imagine his breath. But he's just right in my, inside of my face, because I'm like this. And he's right here. Die! And he gets back up and starts pounding me. Then the guy sicks the pit bull on me. And I threw my arm up just as the pit bull, as you could tell, he's going for my throat. That's what a pit bull does. That's their nature. That's how he's coming at me. So he just, and when I put my arm up, he hit my arm so hard it went this way, and he grabbed a hold of my arm. And they don't just bite. They do this shit. They start yanking their head, and that's what he started doing. The one thing, when he hit me, the suspect stood up. He wasn't down on his knees mounting me anymore. He stood up. And that hit moved me off my side just enough where I could get my weapon. And this whole time, my left arm is saving my throat from this pit bull. I mean, I'm not just standing still. I'm moving around trying to keep this pit bull away from my throat. I remember putting my right hand on my Glock, pushing down. And oh my God, the pain that shot through my chest, down my legs. I screamed like a little girl. It echoed, and it almost sounded like somebody else in the distance was screaming, not me. I had 3 broken ribs. I didn't know that until I pushed down on this level 3 holster. And they're right here. So pushing down, it takes your breath away. It's not like a pain you'll ever, hopefully nobody ever experiences, but it was gruesome. And I knew I'm not going to survive this. There's no way. I gotta eliminate this pit bull before I can even. And I wasn't even thinking at the guy at this point. I was only thinking about the pit bull. So I gritted my teeth and I pushed down and I screamed and I pushed forward and I cleared my gun and I immediately put it on top of the dog's head. Glock 23 40 caliber. And it's so amazing what goes through your head when you're in a situation when you're fighting for your life. Like I said earlier, everything slowed down. And I remember thinking as I'm putting that barrel on top of that dog's head, I'm going to shoot myself in the arm. This bullet of 40 caliber, and this is literally going through my head, like everything just stopped and I got time to think, right? I'm going to pull the trigger. The bullet's going to go through this dog's head and through my arm. But at that moment, I figured it's better to shoot myself in the arm than to have the pit bull rip it off. So I did. And that casing, that gun, popped out of that barrel and hit me right here in the eye. And it felt like it stuck. Now, during the beating, during this guy pounding on me, I promise you, I didn't feel any of that. I felt the pressure of getting punched, but I never felt any pain from him punching me in the... I mean, he knocked all my bottom teeth out except 2. I had 2 teeth left when we were done. My face was swelled. I mean, I didn't feel any of that. It was the adrenaline, I'm sure. But that casing that hit me in the eye, it felt like it stuck right there and was burning my face. I felt that hooded. I mean, really, that shit hurt. Now, I shot the dog, moved my arm, and the dog just went down on my chest. And I remember looking down. I'm laying flat now on my back. And I remember looking down, and I seen all this blood all over my badge. And I'm thinking it's from the dog. No, it's from my arm. This dog had ripped my arm up like hamburger meat. When I shot the dog, I looked up and the suspect took 2 steps backwards. And he's looking at me and I'm thinking, now, ladies and gentlemen, after 17 years, you deal with a lot of fucking dumbtards out there. But I never remember thinking, I want to kill this guy. And I've been in shootouts, but I've been in standoffs. I've had people shoot at me, but I just wanted to stop them, right? No, not this guy. Sounding like an idiot, but I wanted to kill him. And I already pictured 4 slugs going into center mass. And when I raised my gun up, because this arm is, I can't do this. So I raised my gun up and I'm thinking, I'm going to shoot him. I'm going to hit him here. But then, let's go back to that. Everything slows down to a crawl. This is what I thought. Look, I only scored an 86 on the firing range when I qualified for this weapon last month. Now, I don't think I can hit him in the head. Let me go with this huge center mass, right? An 86 is just not good enough for a headshot. And that's what I'm thinking.
Jesus
86.
Christ.
No. So I went right down to his chest, and I'm pulling back on the trigger. Now, with a Glock, you don't have a safety. You have a spring on the trigger. So if you put any pressure on that second trigger, it's going to release, and you can go ahead and pull the trigger. You don't need to worry about a safety or turning anything off or on. And I'm going into detail like this because of the people that may not know. So I'm squeezing back on the trigger, and I know I'm fixing to put four slugs in this. I want him dead. I don't want to stop him. I want him dead. And that's awful to think that way, but that's what I wanted. And here comes a rookie. He'd been with the department a couple months. First on the scene. Now you have to imagine what he's seeing when he pulls up. If I'd have pulled up on this scene, I see an officer on the ground, blood all over him, a dead dog laying on top of him, a guy standing above him, and another guy in the doorway. Oh no, my weapon's coming out. And I'll probably give him commands like this. Stop, put the gun down. Because I want to be able to say in court, yes, I identified myself. I told him to put no, not the gun. but step back, get on the ground. But I'd have whispered it, get on the ground. And then I would have shot him about 3 times. Yes, Your Honor, I warned him 3 different times to get on the ground, and he refused to comply. I would have whispered that shit because I'm going to protect that officer. I know that sounds awful to law enforcement, but I know officers on the ground bleeding. This guy did it. Yeah, I'm going to do what I have to do. I would hope I wouldn't have done that, but that's what I'm thinking because I'm the victim here, right? So if I'm thinking about being the first on scene, that's probably what I wanted to do. So here comes this officer like he's playing football. And I found out the details full 5 days later. He comes no gun drawn, nothing. Just comes running across. This officer had no idea what weapons he had, if he had a knife in his back, stuck down in his pants, if he had a gun in his pocket. He knew nothing. He pulls up on the scene and runs at the guy. So as I'm squeezing my trigger, fixing to shoot this son of a bitch, I see a blur. He tackles the guy. And that's the last I remember. I passed out because I'd lost so much blood. I should not, the doctors even said I was very lucky. I don't call it luck. I call it blessed. The good Lord was looking down upon me. It was not my time to go because I had lost a lot of blood and a lot of nerve damage, a lot of damage to my left arm, not to mention the 3 broken ribs. And then I had to go through, over the next 18, 19 months, I went through 4 neck surgeries and 2 lower back surgeries. Anybody who's been through any kind of back or neck surgery, it's not like you go through the surgery and you're up walking a couple of days later. It is massive. It's like I had 16 days of restricted movement where I'm just looking up at a ceiling all day because after the 3rd surgery, the doctor didn't want me to move for 16 days. They couldn't get it right the first time, I guess. But they transported me, and I'm out. I don't remember any of this. This was what was told to me. They transported me to the hospital. I went into emergency surgery. And 3 days later, I wake up. And I hadn't been out of surgery or woke up. I'd been out of surgery for 3 days, but I hadn't been awake a day and a half, still under the influence of drugs, coming down an IV tube into my veins. I got 3 of them, 1 here, 2 there. Here comes the city manager and the city attorney. Now you have to remember, I was hired by this department because of my experience as a traffic unit. Like I'm thinking, you got to have experience to do a traffic stop, but they wanted me in there to start their traffic unit. They wanted 4 of them. I was the very first one. I'd been with this department for 29 days when I got injured. I'm telling you that because that sets up everything what they did to me. I'm there 29 days. City manager, city attorney, they don't want to pay me for the rest of my life if I can't come back on duty. So they're going to cover their own asses is exactly what they did. They came in there with 16 different pages of documents, non-disclosure agreements, non-sue agreements. Now at this point, I don't give a shit about any of that. I'm drowsy. I'm drugged up. I just want to recuperate and get back on duty. I don't give a shit about suing. You don't sue a department. Once you sue a department, you're blackballed in the industry. Nobody's going to touch you after that. That shit will follow you the rest of your career, but your career's over the minute you sue a city. Because now you're a liability without even being one because you've already sued something. We don't want a lawsuit. No, we ain't hiring him. They'll say you failed the psychological evaluation. Oh no, the stress test, you didn't do the polygraph right, or they will fail you, trust me. So suing somebody was what are you talking? I just want to go back on duty. After the 4th and final surgery, I'm sitting there.
It's all right, brother.
I'm sitting there in the doctor's office waiting for the doctor to come in. Today's the day I'm supposed to be released to go back on duty. That's what I'm there for, to get a clearance. And he walks in and he says, Officer Patterson, with the injuries that you sustained, you can no longer stay in law enforcement. I'm there. My mind is already set. I'm going to be back on the rotation. I'm going back on duty. Now I'm being told I can never be a cop again because of the injuries. The doctor stated to me, now I broke down right then when he said that. I started crying and upset. I'm like, why? And he said this to me. If you're in a struggle and you ever get hit in the back of your neck, it could paralyze you. And I looked at him, I'm like, if anybody gets a hit in the back of the neck, it could paralyze them. He's like, yeah, but the liability, the department's not going to take it. I can't release you. So my career of 17 years in law enforcement is over. It's like, okay, what do I do now? I'm sitting there thinking in the doctor's office, what do I do now? I didn't say that out loud to him, but there's nothing, I don't know how to do anything else. All I know how to do, I came from a complete law enforcement family. My grandfather was a deputy sheriff. My father was a deputy sheriff. My uncles were deputies. My uncle by marriage was a deputy sheriff. That's all I ever knew. I knew the 10 codes before I was even 12. I used to ride with my dad every time school was out during Christmas holiday, Easter holiday, Thanksgiving. I was out with my dad from 7 at night to 7 in the morning, riding with him. He had to be 12 years or older, and it had to be a family member. At 16, I'm a junior deputy, working wrestling matches, football games. I mean, I've been in it all my life. It's the only thing I knew. And now I got to go do something else. And that was not only terrifying to me, but it was, imagine somebody coming to you and saying, okay, you got to pack your stuff and leave your family and never come back. You can never come back. Imagine that, because that's what this doctor was telling me. My shift was my family. Everyone I worked with, I would put my life on the line for those people. We were a bond. It's not just, oh, let's go to work. He's a coworker. That's a secretary's office. In law enforcement, you are family. You're bonded. You got to trust this guy with your life. And they're telling me I got to leave the family now. I can never go back. And that was not only getting screwed over by the city. I got nothing, ladies and gentlemen. I've had people come into my stream like, oh, I bet you're rich. What was it, 250,000 settlement? First of all, it was never about money. It was about my career. I wanted to go back on duty. But no, they buried everything. They screwed me from, like I said, a day and a half later, they're in there and I'm signing, and I signed every one of them because I don't want to sue anybody. I don't get what, it's like closing on a house signatures. So I knew I didn't want to sue nobody. Just put me back on duty. I'll sign whatever. But after all this, I started thinking, and other officers were telling me that I'd worked with, look, they screwed you, man. You need to get an attorney. And I hem-hawed. I'm like, no, I don't. Once I get an attorney, I can never go back to law enforcement. It still hadn't sunk in. I still hadn't accepted reality yet. So I got to the point where, you know what? Because they paid all my medical, everything. I've got medical on my neck and my spine for life. I mean, if it messed up tomorrow, it's paid for by the city. But that's it. That's all I have. So I'm thinking, yeah, I did get screwed. And yeah, they can't have me sign legal binding documents under the influence of drugs. So I went to an attorney and told him everything. And the attorney says, oops, the statute of limitation on this is only 2 years. And this is 2 years, 3 months since it's happened. So I got screwed there because that was my stupidity. I should have hired an attorney long before, but every one of these guys will tell you the last thing you ever want to do is get an attorney and start suing a city. You don't want to do that. That's suicide. That's career suicide. Because I was still under the impression I'm going to go back to law enforcement. But the doctor and the city, they all put a medical hold on my post certification. Post is Peace Officer Standard Training. That's who certifies you in each state. I don't know about other states. I'm talking about the state of Georgia. So even if I walked into Mayberry RFD that's in Georgia, as soon as they pull my certification number, it's going to show a medical hold. They can't hire me. So the moral of this whole thing is I talk about it all the time on my stream when I'm reviewing a video, saying this guy's fucking up. He's standing right in the line of dude. We all screw up, guys. We all drop our guard. We all do stupid stuff. The only difference is sometimes it catches up to you. Sometimes you get away with it. And that day I stand right in front of this door and I didn't get away with it. If I'd have stood to the left or the right, he'd have never sent me over that balcony. I'd have been able to go down the stairs, draw my weapon, and put him on the ground. But that's not how it happened because of my dumb ass. So that's my story. That's why I'm not a cop anymore. And it's all my fault. Literally my fault. So, Chris, I'll send it back to you, buddy.
Oh, jeez. That's the problem is man, how do you even come back? I mean, it's like I almost feel like I think you probably, Josh, Bill, everyone in this can fucking probably admit it's like you just need that moment of, dude, if I had a beer right now, Night, I would like be doing this is for my homie.
Yeah, no kidding.
Something I've always had to follow up with is some people say it's your fault. I mean, it's not. We have a job because of the actions of others. You getting knocked over that door was because some piece of shit decided they were gonna office quarterback you over that ledge.
I'm sorry, I left out the very important aspect of it. The 911 hang-up call it was a 911 hang-up call because the guy ripped the phone out of the wall, and it was a 17-year-old little girl in the trailer, the son's ex-girlfriend. She broke up. He didn't want to. This 17-year-old little girl, they beat her with this phone. Now, when I say a phone, I'm not talking about an iPhone. I'm talking about, does anybody remember the dial?
Yeah.
The rotary dial phone?
Yeah.
After that, they came out with the touch tone phones. These big, heavy touch tone phones. He took that thing and he beat this 17-year-old little girl in the face, in the side of the head. She was in ICU when I was in the hospital. I'd never seen this girl, but my sergeant said you couldn't even tell what race she was. She was just red, just blood. They had sucked that pit bull on her, and her legs had been eaten up by this pit bull. So my arrival on the scene, it stopped the attack on that young lady, but they directed everything on me. So it did save that 17-year-old little girl. So that was the whole 911 hang-up call, is her calling 911 to get out of the trailer.
Jeez.
So, okay.
And it did to the point, and he was talking about putting full round center mass. The real tragedy is that guy didn't die, to be 100%.
Yeah,
I can say that because we're out. That's the real
He
tragedy.
didn't die.
No one's deserved a bullet more than that piece of shit.
Yep. Yeah.
But his son was 17 years old, and he can never own a pet, not even a goldfish. Never. He's restricted from ever owning a pet. He went to juvenile hall, which is YDC, Youth Development Center, until he was 21. And then he stayed another year. I found this out through other officers. He stayed another year after he was 21, or 18. I'm sorry, not 21. After he turned 18, he had to stay another year. The father who did all this shit, this was like, you heard the 3 strikes, and he's at, this is like strike number 7.
Yeah.
And his rap sheet was like 2 miles long: aggression with police officers, resisting arrest, assault on police officers. I mean, it was just huge. Drug convictions. Why this idiot was even out of prison is beyond me. But he's there to stay now. So, but anyway, I'll shut up now.
No, man, this was the whole reason why I wanted you on the show was, you and I had talked about you coming here and telling your story, and I'm just reading the comments in my chat, man, and it's nothing but love for you, Knight. I mean, it is like, and that's the whole.
Very much.
And see, that's the whole thing is like I think Josh, you brought up and I actually mentioned it the other day in one of my streams where God, why would I have brought this up? But I think you and Bill were talking about a day that you like basically were looking down at a dead child from a shooting, and and I mean, and maybe I was actually maybe telling the story to somebody else. It's, you know, obviously the media doesn't give a rat's ass about us. They can care less, and they're never going to tell that story. Besides you telling the story on social media, really no one would ever have heard that story. No one would have heard Josh and Bill's story, you know, and some of the other stories that both Sternal and SWAT have given. But it's like, I think if more people would have hear these stories, they would start to understand where that, you know, start to understand. Like, I mean, like I'm reading my chat, and I don't think there's anybody in this chat that would second guess you putting, you know, 2 in this guy's chest and 1 in the head, you know, and feel sorry for that piece of shit. But yeah, no, that's a freaking story. I wanted Josh and Bill to hear this story too, man, because when I heard it, I was just like, guys, when I was in Meet the Gamers, and they're interviewing him, I literally was like this. I was like fucking drained. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Sure, yeah.
I wanted to drive to I wanted to drive out to him and give him a hug. I was like,
But you know what's sad is if my department would call me today,
oh, they don't give a shit.
I would kiss ass and go right back.
Oh yeah, you
Oh
would.
no,
Oh, yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I would go back. Thank you. I would hug the chief. Now the chief was on my side. I let everybody know the chief was on my side. Chief had nothing to do with what happened. But God, I watch these videos and my adrenaline pumps like I'm behind the wheel. Like, God, let's go. And I'm ready to be in that 1080 or a domestic, or I would love to be back on duty.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to retire.
Right.
I mean, they'd have had to chase me out at 72. Look, man, it's taking you 15 minutes to get out of the patrol unit, man, and then to get your walker too, you got to go. So,
well, you know, I was gonna say what's interesting about Josh and Bill, and I want to say this, and that's hence started my conversation was that they always say you should retire when the job is no longer fun. And Josh, I mean, you have brought up that many times about you weren't willing to die anymore for. And I utterly respect that, because the job, you were done with the job, and you guys decided to pull the plug instead of being piece of shit cops and going out there and doing a shitty job. You decide it's not for me anymore, and I have utter respect for that. As opposed to like Knight, you weren't ready to retire, and you would still be in it. And just like with SWAT and Sternal and we're going to eventually get to a point, and that could be anywhere between now and whatever years you have left. There's somebody walking behind you, SWAT. So, oh shit! Did they just take It's like they found you,
That's what
SWAT.
happens, man. You wear ninja outfits and ninjas jump in your house and shit. It's like it's a frat house. I don't.
Well, do you know that your camera just went dark for about 3 seconds? I'm like, they got him. They got him.
Well, as soon as it's like abort.
you know, he had to. The reason he went dark is he had to stand up. He didn't want to show us his thongs.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was it. He didn't want to show us what color thongs he was wearing today.
hey,
We got Only Cops here, man. We can start the whole OnlyFans invitation right now. An interesting place I can hang my badge and everything.
Right. Oh shit. Well, I'd actually have to get 2-sided tape to put mine where I need to put it. I ain't hanging shit. Look at Bill.
I didn't think.
Hey,
Jesus Christ.
hold on, Bill. Let me bring up my chart.
There it is.
I wanted to see that graph again. That's great.
Oh my God.
Hey, the stream might be going down, but I'm getting up.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's amazing. But like I said, we all have to decide. And I always say that the day the job is no longer fun, I'm done. I'm leaving. I don't care how many years I have. I need to leave, because I don't want. I've worked with too many guys that they should have left and they didn't leave. Some died. I mean, literally, I've had a guy same age as me, 53 years old, great guy, great cop. And what pisses me off about his death was he kept talking about everything he was going to do in retirement. He talked about, I'm going to go to Costa Rica, I'm going to surf, I'm going to do all of this stuff. And he was like one of the few people that I knew had a plan in retirement. And unfortunately for him, possibly a blood clot got him at 53 years old and died. I mean, it's just like, Jesus. And then a couple of our retirees, and you guys know this, is that, they retire, and within a year, sometimes 2 years, they're dead. They're and the bad thing is they could have had retired like 10 years prior, and they didn't, and then they finally pulled the plug, and now they're dead. It's just like, yeah.
And we
That's
felt
happened.
like
Sorry, go ahead.
after I couldn't be a cop anymore, I felt worthless. I mean, I would go into a restaurant in plain clothes and people standing. Hey, Officer Patterson, how are you doing? Shaking my hand. I had respect. Walk into the huddle house. Hey, Officer Patterson, how you doing? And all of a sudden, I'm a nobody. I mean, nobody even knows who I am in the Chattanooga area. And so I can understand why, you know, you go from way up here to nothing. And I felt worthless for a year and a half. So, I can understand that.
I would tell you though, and I don't know where you're at with this, but I would know, like, with the 17 years of experience that you have and the incident that you went through, is that that's stuff that needs to be taught at the academy, because academy kids need to hear these stories and hear how standing in the fatal funnel, what it's going to do to them, and you being an example of that. You know, the one thing I've always hated about the academy, and I think all of us in this chat can agree, is when you have those TAC officers or those officers that don't know shit. They work at some department that gets 2 calls a year, and now they're the biggest shit at the academy.
3-man department.
Yeah. Well, back when I was in patrol, it's like, hey, fuck, you sleep all night. Your department doesn't do shit.
No shit.
And
I did more in one night than you do in a month.
Yeah.
So shut up.
And that's what I see at the academies these days, because a lot of our academies are run by colleges. So the colleges will hire, you know, just about anybody that wants to go work there. But that's the sad part, and I think the kids could learn a lot more from people who actually did the job, and did the job for, you know. So,
my son, he just graduated Police Academy April 1st. I got 4 boys. Well, there's never been blood tests on any of them. I want that known up front. Their mother said they're mine. I don't know.
Oh my
She's
God!
lied to me in the past. So, but I've got so much money invested in all 4 of them now because they're grown. So, yeah, I got to claim them now. And I say that because they all look just like me, poor guys. So I can say there's never been a blood test. But he graduated. But while he was in the academy, or right before he went to the academy, he came over here about 4 times. And we're sitting out back, and he's asking me for advice. And I told him, the best advice I can give you, son, is learn whatever they're going to teach you, memorize it, get through the test, and then forget about it. When you get out of the academy, forget about it. Except for Officer Survival Week and handcuff techniques. That's about what you need to take with you. Other than that, it's all bullshit. The laws are common sense. You don't have to study what the laws are. They're pretty much common sense. No, you can't stab that guy in the neck. It's kind of illegal.
Yeah.
And I told him, here's the best advice I can give you. Because when I went through the academy, we watched 3 films on a VCR. Because this is 1995 when I went through the academy. And there's 3 different court cases on these videos showing the officer involved shooting, and they brought in his firing range scores from the academy because he killed somebody, and now they're wanting to know why didn't you shoot the gun out of his hand? So your intentions was to kill this suspect, my client's son. That was your intentions because you're a good enough shot to shot the gun out of his hand. So I told my son, when you get to the firing range, man, it's not a competition between the other students. Don't score high on the firing range. Score in the 80s. They can't bring that in court and say, why didn't you shoot the gun? Why didn't you hit him in the knee with the bullet? And he's like, oh, okay, that's good advice. So what does my son do? My kids never listen to me. He scores a 98 on the firing range, and then on a text message group, he's bragging to his mom and his brothers, hey, I scored a 98. And I'm thinking, and I responded by, son, I told you to score in the 80s. You don't want the defense attorney bringing up. And he responded by, oh, they can't do that anymore. I'm like, what? Oh, yes, they can. He said, no, I talked to my instructor who's never been a cop. I talked to my instructor, and he said they can't do that anymore. Well, first of all, your instructor does not control what a defense attorney can admit into evidence. It's up to the judge. Mm-hmm. He's going to say, I'd like to present this as evidence, and the judge is going to say yes, no, maybe, let's look at it. But I've never heard a judge say, no, you can't bring in his test scores from the firing range because that's relevant to the case. Mm-hmm. He said, oh, no, I talked to my chief. Now, my son's in a 3-man department. You got the chief, a sergeant, and then my son. which is okay. I mean, it's a great place to start. They paid for him to go to the academy. I'm not complaining. But it's like a 3-man task force, okay? I've seen more in a week than this 32-year veteran has seen in his whole career. So, I mean, we had, when school was in, we had the Georgia College State University. We had 175,000 people show up overnight in our city. College students. Not to mention the military school. So, this guy, I mean, there's a caution light in a convenience store. And I'm like, son, don't listen to what your chief is saying. I'm telling you, the defense attorney can bring up anything, admit anything as evidence that he wants to. So, guys, anybody think about going to the academy? That's the best advice I can give you. I pulled like the last 3 shots. I mean, I remember I didn't even hit the target because I wanted to score in the 80s back in 1995. And then every year you got to qualify at the range.
Yeah,
Never score in the 90s. Jeez.
Do
So
what me
anyway,
and my best friend do.
okay.
We shoot each other's targets. It'll be at the end. Just
Hell yeah. Hell
Yeah, there you go.
what's that little
Oh,
guy?
you're gonna
What's this
fail. Let me
dickhead?
hit it a couple times.
We don't have that luxury, and I'm sure Chris is probably the same. Like our firearms quals have got to be like above 95 or
Yeah, we
Better.
have to get a certain
Oh,
score,
really?
or you got to redo it. Yes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Dude, we got to score above an 80 in Hickville, Georgia.
No,
For regular patrol. Yeah,
they
that's
don't
our
expect a
cutoff.
lot out of us.
no. Unfortunately, you have to get a minimum score.
Yeah,
Holy shit. As long as we scored above an 80, we were good. I scored an 84, 85, or 84 or 86.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
when I qualified on the weapon, I made sure I scored in the 80s.
yeah.
So,
For regular patrol, that's correct. I think if you get below an 80, you have to retake. But in SWAT, if you get, Chris might be a little different for us. Our standard's actually whatever our team commander shoots, and he usually shoots about now obviously it's not the standard, but if you go below, it's like 10 burpees for every one below what the commander shot. but he usually shoots about a 94, 96 in there. So all of us are sitting there going, come on, 99, come on, 99.
I'm gonna run to the
Yeah,
restroom. I'll be right back.
Alrighty. But yeah, we don't get that luxury. And even then, I think what his son was trying to articulate, going back to what I think Bill said earlier about articulation, was it wouldn't be so much shooting a target, because most officers be able to sit in a stand and say, well, we're not trained to shoot a gun. That's a small target moving incredibly quickly, and there's almost no law enforcement academy that uses moving targets the size of a handgun at whatever distance. Blah blah blah. We're trained to not kill, but stop the threat. And scientifically, it's been proven the most effective way is to hit the largest target, which has the greatest probability of hitting your target, stopping the threat with no collateral damage of any citizens in the area, blah, 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 and you go into that. Which I don't think he explained to his father is the direction we've gone into now, because the whole shoot him in the leg, well, Your Honor, if I hit his femoral artery, by the time I get him secured and get his leg tourniquet and all that, he could bleed out. Whereas if I hit his chest or his lungs or a major tissue, there's less likely chance he'll bleed out. He'll be stopped because of the traumatic injuries. We can get him secured. Medics can work on him quicker with a chest seal and deal with hemothorax and all that crap. So I think that's what your son was probably trying to tell you, but just couldn't quite articulate correctly, as they've gone away from that argument. Because I think they tried saying, why didn't you? Was it the Micaiah Bryant or Micaiah Brett was the knife girl, I think?
Yeah.
Where people said, why didn't you try shooting the knife out of her hand? And somebody in like the Twitter feed said, bitch, you can't even see the knife with how fast she's swinging it. It's like, got a point. So fortunately, we're getting kind of shifted towards that. But, I mean, no, she's right. There's still scumbag attorneys that would probably try and say that. But
Sure. Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. Does any officer here, I got certified on the taser, right? I used it 2 times in the line of duty, and then I was pissed because I got tased to get certified on it. Both times it didn't work. I mean, this guy, first guy's whacked out on drugs. It didn't work. He kept coming at me. The second time, they trained us, when they certified us on the taser, you have to be observant of how the guy's acting and what he's wearing, most importantly. If he's wearing a freaking hoodie, keep the taser in the holster. It's not going to help. But I see these guys on these videos all the time. It gives an officer a false sense of security because they're constantly, taser, taser. Yeah. What the hell are you talking about? I've used pepper spray thousands of times and not once did it not work. I'm saying that What do you guys think about the taser? I can't stand it. I say throw them all away and burn the dumpster.
There's an over-reliance for sure.
Yeah, no, I can feed off of that. I don't like using Satan's semen because that just seems cruel. And when I got hit with it, it lasted for like, I think I broke Chris.
I'd like to guide you to Chris's graph. SWAT. The stream is like, Satan semen thing. I think did it. I just lost 20 viewers.
When Nightcop was talking, this is where we were going. No.
Have you noticed there's a pattern here, Chris? Every time SWAT starts talking, the graph goes down.
Oh, shit.
No wonder he's hiding his identity.
He's got plausible deniability.
Yeah, but no, when I got hit with pepper spray, that shit lasted like,
a day and a half.
For me, I got hit at like
the next day when you took a shower, you got you got sprayed again.
Oh no, I did the smart thing. I had a cousin in the military who said when you get hit with OC or CS or whatever, you wrap a towel around your neck like a noose, and instead of jumping off something, you hold on to it. Oh yeah, that seems appropriate. I see the loves that. But no, you hold that towel real tight around your neck, and you put your face in the shower first, and you just let the water just hit your face and let it go down, so it doesn't go to your other bits that you don't want to get reactivated, and you just let it like run your face for like a good 15 minutes, just trying to rub all that oil out, get it out. Don't touch anything, but try to get like just push on the floor of the shower, try to get it off your hands, and just keep that towel there so nothing runs down. And the next day, it'll feel like a sunburn, but you don't have to worry about anything dripping down to the sensitive spots. But shifting
where
gears
were
back,
you in 1995? August of 1995. Where were you at giving that information?
6 years ago.
You know,
Dang.
you know what?
Kindergarten?
I hated
I
gas
think I was
school.
kindergarten.
You know, when you got gas, not just when you did the pepper spray, but when you, I don't know if you guys had to, but they would put you in the gas house in the academy and use the
Really?
That shit sucked. Oh my god.
We didn't go through no gas
Oh
stuff.
yeah, we did, man. They had the actual military grade canisters that they would, hot gas. That's what it was, hot gas. And that SWAT 3 hot gas that we use on SWAT shit. That stuff is awful because that just sticks to your
SWAT
skin.
Thing. Okay.
But no, this was in the academy. They would put us in a building.
Really?
Yes, and open those fucking canisters up and throw it in there, and then you'd have to peel your mask off.
Go through that.
And then you'd have to put your mask back on, try to clear it, and I don't know if anyone's ever successful in clearing it. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Oh, you have?
There it is.
Did you really? Hey!
So, was this the SEB house they stuck you in for that?
No,
that was hell when I was in LA.
Yeah, no, that we did that, but I'm talking in the actual academy, the police academy. We did the whole hot gas shit.
Damn.
And those guys, man, were
We
sadistic.
didn't go through that.
They were like, oh, that was probably the worst day of my life. And then night, that thing, you go home and it's the gift that keeps on giving. You fucking shower and you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh yeah. But you did it.
Pepper spray was like that. It got in my hair. I didn't know it. So then I'm like in the shower. Let me get shit. I got sprayed again down my face. And I'll tell you, OC does not work very well in private areas.
Nope.
You come out and limping, look like you rode a horse from California to New York.
Oh, yeah.
Like a crab.
So Sternal, you were able to clear that shit?
Yeah, so I've done the gas house 3 times, being in the military. So I didn't clear it the first time. First time I failed epically, but the third time I was able to clear it actually. And I was like, oh my god, I actually did it.
Wow.
Yeah, when my department doesn't use gas a whole lot.
Gas.
So when we went through our gas house and at the SEB place,
Yeah.
I was in there with my partner, and what was weird was being in the hot gas, since we don't really ever use it, was being in there, you're like, shit, like all your exposed skin's kind of burning, like it's a sunburn. You're like, damn, okay, this kind of sucks. And then I'm walking clean with my partner, and I just start going, what the hell? I look over at my canister at the corner of my mask, and the expiration date was like 2 years ago. I'm like, oh shit. And we had just started the house. So I'm clear with a pistol doing this in my filter. My partner's like, what are you doing? Like, let's just get through this, man.
Yeah.
We get through it.
Yeah, so
That reminds me of one of our. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I thought you were done. Man.
just trying to breathe through my shitty mask filter that was pretty much toilet paper at that point. I took my mask off and threw it across the parking lot. I was so pissed off.
Can we see
There you
that
go.
graph again, Chris?
Where's the graph?
There's a graph.
The first time I went through a gas chamber was when I was in basic training, Fort Benning, Georgia, when I was 17 years old. And I was dumb because when we did it, they brought us into that room. We had our masks on. You felt that sunburn feeling that SWAT theory described. And then they were like, okay, so you had two groups, one on this side of the wall, one on this side of the wall. And my dumb 17-year-old self didn't think about this, but they said, the loudest group to chant the Soldier's Creed will leave the gas chamber first once we take our masks off. Oh. All right.
You fell for it.
I am gonna sing that Soldier's Creed so loud. So when we finally got around to taking our masks off, I was like, because you're breathing in oxygen to be loud, and then that was a terrible idea. Let me just say that. I was not the loudest. I was
Loud as cough. Man.
You fell
I
for
would
it.
identified as a 7-year-old little girl and started crying at that moment.
Yeah. Oh man. But tell you what,
hell.
Mm.
They just
I realized we
Has
kinda-
anybody ever had a can of OC bust on them inside your patrol unit?
no,
Not
but
me.
I-
But another officer on our shift. He got this can of OC that's like from 1932 or something, and thought it would just last forever, and it exploded. And yeah, did anybody ever went through that or heard of that?
so
I'd never heard of it until he did it.
So I will tell you a quick. Okay, so I haven't had it in the car, but the top blew up in my hand, and so
Yeah, the top. of
yeah,
it.
the top popped off. So here, so what ended up happening was the quick version of the story is I was in a foot pursuit with my partner who smoked, who couldn't keep up with me.
Smoking stop. I don't smoke, ladies and gentlemen. I do not smoke. The
So
cigarette smokes. I'm just the sucker on the other end.
so I finally catch the suspect, and he turns on me. And I had lost my baton, I lost my flashlight, and back then there was no tasers back then.
Done
So
that before.
that was it. So I pull out my pepper spray and I juice him. I'm like, right? And he does this. Is that all?
Oh,
Yeah, he goes, is that all you got? And I'm like, I look.
Was it foam?
No, it was the.
Was it foam?
No, it wasn't the foam one. It was just the clear liquid. And I
Okay.
remember looking at. I looked down on my belt and I'm like, yeah, that's all I got, because the only thing left is my gun. So he runs at me, and I have the canister still in my hand, so I get ready to clock him, and I do. I hit him as hard as I can across his face, and when I come back to reload, the canister goes bloop and sprays me. So it's all over me, and I can't see shit. So now the fight's on, and all I'm trying to do is, he was big enough that I could try to get on his back. So I'm fighting to get on his back because I'm trying to put him in the carotid at this time, right? I'm doing the old academy shit, pulling up on his fucking nostrils, doing all that bullshit that doesn't work when you're in the fight for your freaking life.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it worked great in the academy. Like, okay, here you go. Here's my neck, right? Nah. So I'm like, finally, I get on him, but I still can't see. And then all of a sudden, here's the funny part: is I was able to get him on his knees, but the carotid's not working. It's not doing shit. And I hear this. What do you want me to do? I can recognize it's my partner's voice that finally caught up to me because he smokes. Anyways, he's like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And I'm like, kick him in his head. Well, unbeknownst to me, and that was just me yelling, right? All I feel is this. I'm like, my eyes are closed, right? And I feel boom. And then we both go forward, right? And I finally realized, he goes, I got him, partner. So I roll off of him. I can hear the clicking of handcuffs, so I know I'm safe finally, right? I'm safe. So medics get there. They wash my eyes out. I'm burning. They deal with him. The suspect's on the gurney. And the funny part is, when I finally were able to see clearly, the suspect face has a waffle print across his face. And I'm like,
my God.
I go, did you kick him in his head? And he's like, you told me to. And I'm like, oh, you fucking moron. He kicked him
That was in the spur of the moment.
It was. I'll be honest with you. There was a moment when I was trying to do this. There was a moment because I was losing the fight. I 100% was losing the fight. There was a moment that I thought about taking my gun out and just doing a contact shot because I thought if he overpowers me, I'm done. He has my gun. I can't see him.
Right.
So I literally was like, I was at that point when I finally heard my partner. So he's actually lucky my partner arrived, because he probably was within about maybe a half a blink of an eye of putting a bullet in his head, because I was done. I was tired. I couldn't hold him anymore. But I remember he kicked him so hard, I think I could read Vibram on his cheek.
Oh, shit.
Jesus.
So I've got kind of a fun little OC story. I accidentally sprayed a 17-year-old kid in the face that was like with a knife. So you're probably wondering, how did I accidentally do it? Well, this kid had a knife, and he was like, it was one of those like kitchenettes where the back door had like a dead man bar in front of it, so nobody could get in. And he was having a mental episode, wouldn't put down the knife. We didn't want to tase him, so he'd go, stick himself with a knife, fall over. So we're sitting there, I'm like, man, you need to put that, just the whole de-escalation, put it down. No one's going to hurt you. We just need to figure out what's going on with you right now. Get your meds on, right? Whatever, go to the hospital. He says, no, I'm not going to do it, no. Well, I go to take my mace out, and I go to prep it by putting my thumb back here. That's, like, if you don't stop, I'm going to, and it just goes off. I was like, that's what's supposed to happen in Archer, and I can't figure out what happened. Well, at some point in time during my time on the street, that's all that's left of my plastic guard.
That goes off.
I'm keeping my thumb away. That's my plastic guard. That's how little it covered. So I went to go prep my thumb on the back of it. There was no shelf. I just put my thumb where I thought was the shelf and just
juiced
perfect Cobra spirit right between the eyes. And my sergeant's going. Of course, I had a mini heart attack. So I thought the kid was going to go right in their face with the knife. But as they're coming up, they threw the knife in the air and it just kind of went to the other side of the kitchen. But I was like, I just killed this kid. It was just watching that knife go. I was like, oh. Of course, the screaming, crying, you blinded me.
Immediately like, yeah, and I'll do it again. Stop. Right. You should have acted like you did it on purpose.
Oh, that's exactly what I said. There's more of that came from. Sarge.
Yeah. There's more of that. Yeah.
So I have a quick funny story on this. So my partner and I, we were on Graveyard together. We were like Josh and Bill. We were always together, and if we couldn't double up, we followed each other from call to call. That was our shit. His name is Juan, and actually his kids come in his stream because his kids are kind of teenagers now. But anyways, we're at McDonald's, and I don't know why I got the idea. So we sit down. He gets up to use the restroom, and I see his ketchup there, and I'm like, "Fuck, I got to do it." So I get my pepper spray out and I spray his ketchup and I, put my, it's awesome because, so he gets his French fry and he gets, the little white ketchup things that, you fill up your own ketchup. So he gets his French fry and he dips it in there and he goes, and he's like, And so he does this, he gets his French fry and he mixes it. And then he bites it, and then now it hits him, and he's all. and at this point in time, I'm across from him, and I'm crying. I'm like, and he's all, dude. He gets up. I can only imagine what it looked like because he pulls his pepper spray out, and we're literally running around the lobby of McDonald's because he's trying to pepper spray me.
Oh my god. What year was this?
19.
Actually, the limitations are way up on that.
Actually, you know what? You know what, Sternal? It would have been 1999. It would have been 1999.
Good. So before good video cameras were prominent.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
That's what's important.
It's your word against mine.
I plead innocent of all charges.
Oh,
there's a Rodney King helicopter circling these two actual cops trying to spray each other.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we used to. Oh,
Did anybody ever have pepper spray that didn't work though? I've used it thousands of times. It was my go-to, unless it was time to pull out a Glock.
So
it always worked.
Never ever
So
used that.
we had like a Filipino descent guy in my academy class, and they're like, okay, we're gonna spray you, and then you've got to give your location, go hands on, keep your gun protected, do disabling strikes, all that stuff. The kid's like, okay. So he's like, ready. It just hits him right across both his eyes and Z's it. Of course, he goes, shakes a little bit, and he goes, I'm officer. I don't remember what his name was. It was like I started with Q or something. I'm at this academy. My location is here. I've got a suspect 10-10 in progress. And of course, the whole time he's doing this, we're looking at him. He's just kind of going,
Damn, what an animal.
like, what the fuck? And he gets done. He's like, yeah, that kind of sucks. Okay. And walks off. We're all like, because all of us got hit. We're sitting there going, shit. God
Yeah,
damn
that's
it,
me.
trying to find the pad.
Yep.
But he sat there. He really went, I think I'm good. A little bit of water. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he was just a monster. He wasn't like a huge. It was just, they said something like 5% of the population, it just doesn't hit. He said, it feels like I ate wings and touched my face. Like the CS part of the OCCS didn't fuck with him at all. And it's just like, okay, people like you exist. So,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, that was my go-to. I love the pepper spray. Of course, every time you use it, you're getting certified on it all over again. It's going to get on you.
Yeah, that's why we avoid it.
I never used it ever.
Yeah, in the city, your backup's like 30 seconds away.
What'd you use, Uncle Bill? What'd you use?
Empty hands.
Presents.
Empty hands?
If I would have stopped there,
I'm 5'6", 118 pounds. I don't think they cared if I grabbed a hold of them.
Yeah, between Josh and I, it's about 400 pounds of person. So.
It's funny you said when you mentioned Chris mentioned the whole driving each other around. One of my best friends in the department and I, when we're working patrol, it's the same way. I'm 6'3", 210 currently, and he's 5'6", 160 maybe. Yeah. So it's kind of like what was that movie? I want to pet the rabbits, George. Of Mice and Men. Like I'm the big doofy one. If stays over him, he'll be running his mouth, and I'm just like, I mean, if you want to fight him, you got to fight us both.
Why can I picture that?
I'm 5'7", 173 pounds. So,
Jesus,
you're a happy average. Not bad.
I was about to say that's it, but the 173.
That's all my fat.
Yeah.
You call me fat?
No, I'm saying that means you got some meat to your bones.
You just call me fat?
BMI says you're obese.
Stern, I think he said Jenny Craig's got a warrant for your arrest. I think that's what he said.
You know what? I can't wait to watch the Blue Zone with Josh and Bill.
I haven't even asked you, Josh and Bill. You guys got to come on my Blue Zone.
This is what's
gonna do anything yet.
No. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen to the Blue Zone. Nightcop's going to be up here, and then it's going to be Josh and Bill down here.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, these guys. Hey, Night, these guys are characters, man. You should see us when we're playing video games. Oh my God, it is a blast.
Us. You shot all of us in the back of the head.
You guys, you know what? I sent you guys the like I told you guys, I was going to upload that, and I thought twice about it. I'm like, I can't upload that. Is that sad?
Yeah.
Oh no, I've got them. Don't you?
Oh, okay.
We got them. Don't you worry.
It was
You absolutely can. Like there was the time I was playing with you, and you went to go wedge the door, and all I heard was, "Oh shit!" So I just mag dumped an AK to the wall. And went,
well, no. So when
suspects down.
So what ended up happening, and I don't know. I think it was I forget who was in the stream with us. Well, we're playing, and it was producer Juan. He was left. He was the last guy left. Everyone got killed by this one suspect. So producer Juan goes in, and we're able to neutralize the suspect. Well. We producer Juan and I fire back and we get the suspect, and the two hostages are left, and so producer Juan goes into the room right to do the effective arrest, and I'm like, fuck it, I reload my handgun and I just start wailing at everybody in the room, take out everybody, right? And the laughter, it's great. Bill's laughing. I mean, you hear this, all you hear on the mic is just pure laughter. So I took the clip. And I was going to make it into an Instagram post. I was going to be like when shit goes bad, right? And I was right about to press post. And I thought, fuck, I can't post this. Because some asshole that knows I'm a real cop is going to call the police department. They're going to make a complaint saying, hey, you got a police officer that's taking hostage lives for, as a joke and shooting each other. And I thought, how sad is that? How sad is that I can't even put a funny clip from a video game? And so I didn't. But I sent Josh and Bill the footage because they could do whatever the fuck they want to do with it. So
exactly.
Right.
For 5 easy payments of $9.99. I will send you some face masks so we can get away with that stuff until you found out and you get eventually fired.
And then remember, it's 3 easy payments, ladies and gentlemen. 3 easy payments.
And then I thought about it. Could you imagine if by this time before I retire, I get into OIS and some defense attorney starts going through my social
yeah.
media. Oh my God, that would be on the big screen. The officer who shot. That would be it. So I was like, you know what? So you're right, Bill. It's like time to go because it's like because I was in fact I'm helping one of my friends get his retirement stuff together because he's actually retiring in a week. And I have a lot of photos of him, so I'm getting all his photos, and I'm going to give him his photos that he doesn't actually even know exist because these are photos during training and stuff like that. So I don't think he's even seen these. But anyways, I'm going through these photos, and I'm just thinking to myself, "Fuck, these are." You know what? I can't use these even in my own social media until I retire, and I just keep thinking to myself, "Man, the day I retire, it's literally like, here you go," So yeah.
Yep.
Which I've always thought was stupid
Chris.
to begin with. And if you're lucky, you'll get the prosecutor from the Kyle Rittenhouse case going, so you shot people in video games. It's a video game, bro.
Yeah.
I can differentiate between real. Actually, I had that fucking discussion with my father when I was 6 years old, or 9 years old, excuse me. And he got me GoldenEye 64. And he's looking at me, he's like, this isn't real life. Like, yes, Dad, I know it's a video game. I got it because I play with my friends, and you're playing a super spy that I'll never be because I'm not British. I'm not Sean Connery, so I probably not going to work. So I know it's a fucking video game. Now let me and my friends go play in the basement and have fun. That sounded weird, but that was the discussion I had it like in my single digits. Like that's just to ask us 30, 40, 50-year-old man, why did you shoot people on video games? Okay, yeah, that one is deserved. That one is deserved.
Draft back out, buddy.
That one was deserved.
You triggered the graph.
I did.
That's actually a key point of discussion
SWAT.
between my.
What was that, Sterling?
Go ahead, buddy.
Sternal speaking.
That's actually the key point of discussion between my wife and I, because she won't let our daughter, soon to be, thought it was going to be a son, but when we do have a son someday, son to be, play video games, violent video games, until he's the appropriate column that they rate. I'm like, no, he's going to play freaking Call of Duty with me at 12 years old.
Yep.
And she's like, no.
Well, you gotta be careful, because if he plays Fortnite, it's gonna teach him bad habits. Because you shoot somebody, their body doesn't blink and go away. You gotta bury that shit, and that's a discussion you never have.
So yeah,
Do you know if me and you were on duty together, the criminals would have no chance. We would have a blast. Your personality and my bullshit. Oh yeah,
I'd love to see that marriage.
we would have a ball.
it'd be interesting.
Be like, hey, Snapdragon, get out of the car, or he's gonna get you out.
Just look over your shoulder. Is your name George?
Don't make me send in my K9.
Right?
SWAT, come here.
Oh my God.
The guy's not even scared. He just hears, "Yes, Daddy."
Yeah,
What?
Daddy.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? Go ahead.
Should we, because we have that Ask Nightcop text channel, did we want to address any of the questions that are in there?
Yeah, actually, yeah, if you want to bring some up, because I'm going to start winding this down because I actually do have to go to work, so.
What a
Yeah, but I'm
loser.
curious on what happened last night that you were fixing to retire. I'm nosy like that.
Oh man, it was the night from hell. First of all, we had this guy who wanted to do suicide by cop. Took all our resources. I mean, this guy was so high. I mean, literally so high. Patrol started off with pepper ball. They and to the point that the tank was empty, but he was armed with a hammer. And I'll be honest with you, this is the part that I wish people would understand, because even the fire department that was on standby, when I heard the radio call, so the guy had taken basically a framing hammer and was attacking 4 young teenagers. He smashed the crap out of their car window. They were scared inside. They were able to call the police. When patrol arrived, he challenged the patrol officers. He had the hammer in his hand, and they're like, he has a hammer in his hand. He's not complying with their orders and anything like that. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, here it is. I'm going to hear, our code for officer involved shooting is 998. I'm ready. I'm going to hear 998 anytime. And their request, and I love them. I mean, they're requesting more or less lethal. Every officer has less lethal, the big guns, like a 40 millimeter, pepper ball. What's the other one that we have?
Beanbag.
Beanbag. So there's all 3 of those are out there on top of the tasers that the officers are carrying. And they're hey, we're giving them commands. We're doing this. We're doing that. Unfortunately, our K9 was off, so we're requesting a K9 from a neighboring city. And I'm listening to this, and I'm like, oh, and the whole entire time I'm just sitting at my desk. Well, anyways, but this just goes to show you and then people don't understand this. Not only did they pepperball him, they gave him a couple of 40mm rounds, they gave him beanbag shotguns, and he still held that hammer and did not do anything. Eventually, they were able to get him in custody, and the whole thing is his injuries were minimal. And the fire department was like, "Man, we thought the whole entire time you guys were going to kill him." And I said, "Well, that's not what we do. We tried to do what they did." I go, "No." I told the engineer on the engine, I go, "Don't get me wrong. These guys could have killed him a long time ago. 20 minutes ago, they could have been done with him. He picked up cinder block rocks, threw them at the officers, missing officers' heads because they were doing this. They were ducking. So he could have actually taken out any officer at any time. And, you know, we all know assault with a deadly weapon. But these guys held their restraint. And I was just like, so I actually ended up showing up on scene. And, you know, I'm like, you know, "Hey, you guys, everyone okay? We're good. You know, cool. Bad guys going to jail. Everyone's going home," that type of thing. But it was just like I got back to my desk and I just like sat there and I was telling Bill and just like, I'm fucking tired. I'm like, this is just, I'm old. It's midnight. I should be in bed. There's no reason for me, 53 years old, being awake. You know, I was just like, and I was just like, I'm done. I'm tired. And it's just like, it seems like every day it's just getting a little bit harder and harder to get ready for work. I mean, I used to be Johnny on the spot. At this time, I'm going to be in the shower. I'm going to be on the road at exactly 1,300 hours because I know what my drive is going to be. And even if there's an accident, I can jump off the freeway and still get to work on time. And now it's like, my wife's like, "Are you going to leave?" I'm like, "What time is it?" She's like, "It's like 1:10. I'm like, I got to still take a shower." She's like, "You still got to take a shower?" I was like, so I'm just getting to that point now where it's just like, and it's almost not becoming fun. That's the part. And I always promise myself that if it's not fun, I'm going to stop. And April 1st, a couple days ago, or, you know, just a week ago, I was 100% eligible for retirement. So I could literally walk off the job. I could actually leave my badge on the desk and walk off and collect my retirement check next month without even a problem. So I got all my max benefits and all that type of stuff. So I can go. And so it's like I got some soul searching to do over the next couple of weeks because I'm actually getting to that point, and Bill's shirt's pissing me off. And the beard's
Where's your lay, Bill?
What's up?
Don't you have a lay to go with that shirt?
You should.
My wife's not home.
Aloha? See, that's the shirt you need to wear when you're fly fishing.
100%.
Hey.
I saw a river runs through it with Brad Pitt, and I knew one day when I retired, I was going to be a professional
There you go, Bill.
fly fisherman.
The torch has been passed.
Oh,
I'll take it.
Say
I'll
what?
take that.
What kind of questions do we have for SWAT theory, Sternal?
So there's some that I'm vetting. You know, I think we could probably just do this one. Well, actually, we can do this one. Someone asked if you still play Farming Simulator and your favorite flavor donut. Nightcop.
Oh, no, they're talking about Farming Simulator because I designed a map on FS17 called Factory Farm.
Mm.
And I worked on that map for over a year and a half, and I released different versions of it. So that's why they're asking about Farming Simulator. And the answer is no, but I'm trying to find somebody to help me convert my factory farm over to FS22. If I can do that, I tried to do it to 19. I could find nobody to help me do it. I worked on it for months trying to get the triggers to work, and it didn't work. And my favorite donut, as we say in LA, which is Lower Alabama, cinnamon rolls. That's my favorite. Cinnamon rolls.
Hell yeah.
Correct. I
Cinnamon
love
rolls.
cinnamon rolls.
I don't like cinnamon rolls.
What?
I do. With a hot cup of
Wait,
coffee.
wait, sir.
Cinnamon rolls.
Wait,
Yeah.
Sternal, why do you hate America?
I don't. I ate my
Cinnamon
donut.
rolls.
I know what you're thinking. Fuck baseball.
It can't be a cream filled donut though. I don't like those.
No, I hate cream filled.
That's the best.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris said whatever creams your Twinkie, man. It's fine with
Oh,
us.
here we go.
That's good.
Night, I'm gonna have to do this to you.
Oh shit! Here we go.
Oh no! And then
I done crashed the stream.
the last question will be one for all of us to answer. What is your advice to other rookie cops who are new to the job?
Oh man, see, I'll let you guys answer that because I know Josh and Bill definitely have a different perspective on that, just given the fact of where they're at. But yeah, I'll let you guys handle that one.
I'll start being the rookie.
Yeah, I was
Um,
gonna say I want to hear from Sternal.
Right. So, and we kind of touched about this earlier in the stream as well. But you're gonna have all these different people that you're working with, even your superiors, who are gonna have opinions, ways, their ways of handling things, and thinking that that's the way, and not being open to, your way of doing things, of conducting business. And you have to be able to, and everyone's gonna give you their advice and they're gonna tell you how to handle it. Once you're off FTO, it's up to you to discern all that stuff they tell you and make the best judgment based off of how you want to do things. Have an understanding of your case law. My biggest advice for you, if you don't know about it already, is I follow this group on Facebook called Street Cop Training. It's a group of people who are former law enforcement, people who are in significant law enforcement roles. And it's ran by a guy who has really good passion of educating all the cops on case law, especially because you have to know your case law so you don't get jammed up and create further case law. But you should follow that group on Facebook. You have to prove you're a cop to get into it, first off. But then when you get in there, they go around the country doing these courses for you to do. So like officer survival, case law, performing a traffic stop, and all these things. And it's a really good course to learn from. And they're big, and they also have a rookie to retirement course that maybe Chris should look into doing. So, some of the things they say is, if you're a rookie and you know you got into the job for the right reasons and you're not having fun, it might not be the job. It could be where you're working. So if that's the case, maybe ask around and see how things are different. Because there's going to be decisions and policies in place that might not seem, right with you or your style of policing. But then you can go to an agency next door and they're going to, they're allowed to do their job and be cops and stuff like that. And, then you get a job there, and you're like, oh wow, okay, this is fun again, cool. So there is always that part too. When you start, just especially if you haven't even done FTO yet, make sure you take advantage of FTO. Don't try going in there and trying to show them that you know everything. If you're green, don't go in there saying you know your shit and then stumble. And then, because when you're in there, you have the opportunity to learn from that person and see how to do things, how that city does it, the resources that they have. You don't know what resources there are. So if you go in there, phase 1 of FTO, trying to just do everything, conduct that traffic stop without having that build up, and then when you get into phase 4 and you didn't see certain resources that your FTO might have used on phase 1 because you just wanted to jump right in there and show them, there's a lot of shortfalls you didn't see. So take your time in FTO. Everyone wants to get through it, right? But if you have a good FTO, then they're going to tell you to calm down and pace yourself and learn, because we all want you to succeed.
And to piggyback on what he's saying, and I'll talk about it a little bit more philosophically as far as you're going into law enforcement. Like, go reach out to people like Nightcop or people like SWAT Theory. Like, you have to understand. And again, I was lucky enough with all the close calls that we had in our department. I'm step left or step right away from being in Nightcop's situation, and it's like he really paid. And again, it's an absolute badass go-getter of a cop. And there was cops like him that I learned how to do. There was cops 10 times better than I ever was at law enforcement that taught me how to be just as good as I was when I did it. And I think like most people coming into it, they see the recruiting shit, or they'll see, I always kind of hate it because you see the billboard and it's, oh yeah, I'm going to go serve the city. And you're talking to the city manager's office and all this shit. The same snakes that went in and forced him to sign the paperwork are the guys recruiting you, but those aren't the people doing the
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, and there's like a spiritual component to this where, and it was the discussion that Chris had alluded to before. Are you willing to pull that short straw, and are you ready to? The part of me that's got pride would like to think that if I got a pit bull on my forearm and some guy trying to kill me, that I could have reacted as well as he did. There's no way of knowing. No. I would have I could have given. I'm almost twice his size physically. Probably would have died. Be 100% honest. There's no way of knowing that. Your equipment's different, your reaction to it's different, whatever it is. I could have pulled the same car over and not found a damn thing, on that traffic stop if you don't know how to move and shake like that. And so if you're going into it, understand that short straw comes for anybody, whether it's, technically a briefing room could look just like this Discord room.
Mhm.
You have, Sternal, who's the new guy that we all kind of make fun of periodically. You have the lieutenant that's, retired on duty practically, sitting there, whatever.
He's gonna look exactly like he does right now, just staring down at his briefing.
Yeah, and you got the guys
We need to
that
take
know
up a donation. Everybody, we're going to get a donation for Chris for we're talking about a Cracker Barrel rocking chair.
100%,
Right?
yes, 100%, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to look at the terms, the totality of the circumstances. What city are you working in? Again, intrinsically, like how much are you really willing to give up for that job? Because even again, the hard part you would think is over, especially for those of us that are out. And again, Nightcop still wants to go back. There's that part of you that you lose when you stop doing the job, and you die kind of twice. Honestly, in law enforcement, is that death that you experience when you're done doing the job, and then when the good Lord takes you. It's a very different. I could imagine this is probably how athletes feel.
Yeah.
That perform at a pretty high
yeah.
level. That you're scoring touchdowns, you're getting scholarships, and if you're lucky enough, you'll go to the full game, and you'll get to go do it. And then when your body's done, or when your sleep schedule's done, or when your spouse is about to be done with you, that you walk away from that. Being a civilian's boring, dude. I'll be honest with you.
Oh,
And
shit.
it's really like, it's so much more complicated. Getting married, buying a house was way less complicated than being a cop was, to be honest. And the relationship you have personally and spiritually with that profession. And then again, the price that there is I said this in the last time we had this conversation, there is a tab that you start putting on when you decide to put on the uniform. You have to go through fucking OC day. You have to go through academy. You go through FTO. Then you start getting the hard calls. There's officers here that have had to watch friends die. There's again those of us that have we watch kids die. We understand what actual street violence is. Yeah,
that's what this is right here. This star.
Yeah,
number 47. He was killed. He was a good friend of mine. Yeah. He was killed in the line of duty the night I was on duty. So
at that, you will pay that tab eventually, and maybe you can shelf it while you're on duty, and I hope that's the case, and you get good therapy, and you have advocacy groups. Like, this is kind of why we shoot the shit and we have fun here, is we all understand what we've collectively gone through, or at the very least can empathize. Had I been the officer that pulled up while he's got a dead dog on him, sure. Especially towards the tail end of my career, I don't know that anybody walks away from that alive, to be honest. But it's you will pay that tab eventually, and really have a good hard discussion with yourself if you're willing to pay that tab. So because I think that's, if your head is on right with that, and I think you come in with the right expectations, there's no amount of bullshit you're not willing to put up with for the job, because you understand that you're doing it for society and you're willing to take that burden on. And again, you can be like damn near fucked up more than anybody and still willing to do the job, like somebody like Nightcop. And it's inspiring to me that I went through a tenth of what he went through, and I was like, fuck this. And I was out, inside of 5 years, and they damn near had to kill him literally to get him to leave. And he would go back today.
Oh, I would.
So it's interesting. And you have to have mentality.
Chris, what was the question? Or was it SWAT? Who gave us that question? It was what advice we would give to somebody.
That's new.
Yeah. Poofy Pigeon asked it. What is your advice to other rookie cops who are new to the job?
Here's the biggest advice I can give you guys is, you got your SOP, you got your guidelines you got to follow. You're going to listen to your lieutenant and your sergeant, but never lose grip of having compassion for the civilians that you're serving. I see it so many times. These new rookies come out and they have this God complex. I've got a badge and a gun, and I got a license to treat people like shit. I dealt with it a lot on domestic calls with rookies. They think they can go into a man's home and say, hey, boy, sit down, in front of his wife and kids. No, because mom and daddy had an argument, you get to go in there and disrespect his home, him, in front of his family. Have compassion, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, every traffic stop is officer discretion. You don't have to write that speeding ticket. You don't take every incident as a separate incident, every vehicle stop as a separate. The way I did it, I didn't write a lot of tickets. As a traffic unit, it was up to the driver whether he got a ticket or not. If he wants to be a prick, I know he's going to show his graph again, but if he wants to be a prick or a dumbtard and start screaming at me like why I am not out there arresting drug dealers, why am I messing with him? Because he doesn't understand. An hour ago, we were cutting a woman out of her freaking car because she was speeding, and her child's now dead in the car seat because the car seat went through the broken front window and it landed in a small puddle of water. So the baby drowns to death in a small, because the weight of the car seat's on top of her. And this is the kind of stuff we deal with. Have compassion for people, ladies and gentlemen. It is your discretion whether you write that ticket. It's your discretion whether you take that. Unless it's a felony, it's your discretion. If it's a felony, you don't have a choice. But just have compassion. Just know, treat people with respect and treat individuals, as long as they let you, with the utmost respect. And let them know we're out there to help you, the victim, not the piece of shit criminal. So that's the best advice I can give you. Have compassion for people. Don't be out there You can pull everything over that moves if you want to. No tag light? Okay, 1038. But you don't have to write a ticket on everything. So many times I'm walking through Walmart when I used to go to Walmart, or a restaurant, and people would come across the store. Officer Patterson, I know you don't remember me, but about 9 months ago, you pulled, and his wife comes up, hey, this is the officer. Hey, thank you so much for not taking him to jail for that DUI. Why didn't I take him to jail? It's 3:30 in the morning. There's absolutely no traffic on the road, and he's a block away from his home. I'm not screwing the guy's life up. When he's a block away from home, I took his ass home. Compassion. Did I do that for everybody? Hell no. You take each individual separately. So that's my advice.
Nice.
That's really good advice. You'll also have a lot less use of force reports if you have compassion.
Oh, yeah.
SWAT.
Have compassion.
SWAT, I'm ready.
Oh, I went back up!
I'm ready. I'm ready for SWAT to give us his spiel. But just so you guys know.
Oh, shit. Here we go. Go ahead, SWAT. We're going to shut up now. We don't even know this guy. Before you even get started, none of us know him. Go ahead.
But I thought you loved me.
That's what we say to everybody.
Come here, man. Give me a kiss.
I'm your favorite John. I see. I get it now. I see where this is going. So a lot of the guys I've trained with have always, a lot of them in previous military too, they've always said there's the quick and there's the dead. And I've sort of taken that and put in law enforcement that is basically either adapt and move on or stagnate and die. Like they mentioned the 2 deaths in your career. I mean, from the 90s to where I am now, I've had family members that have been in law enforcement almost every decade, and just every 10 years, law enforcement just takes a generational leap ahead to now the point that where, like he said, a lot of the stuff that we say now, we can't just go to a judge and say, yeah, I did this. You've got fucking one device recording you here. You've got your dash cam recording you. You've got people with cell phones live streaming to Facebook. You've got security cameras in almost every damn building nowadays. And if you can't adapt to the environment you're working in and you just stay, well, going back to what Sternal said, I know some people that learn one way to do something in FTO, they get out on their own and damn it, they're not very good with a screwdriver, but they'll take that hammer and they'll force that screw into that wood. And they won't change. And you have to be willing to read up on case law. You have to be willing to constantly be checking your physical agility and your strength and your endurance. You have to be making sure your firearms aren't degrading. You have to make sure you're staying up with what the prosecutor's office wants. You have to know what your community problems are. You can't be a cop in 2030 when you're working with 2020 problems. So some of the best advice I could give there is just you have to evolve with the job. You're not a cop. You're a marriage counselor. You're a teacher. You're a coach. You're a psychologist. You're a medic. You can't just do one thing. You can't pigeonhole to one thing. Be like, well, I'm good with this, so I'm not going to do anything else ever again. No, you've got to just fucking keep rolling and being better. And by the time you're ready to hang it all up, you should have the entire department going, teach us. And that's where you should be. And to answer that one guy, if we're ever going to fucking take guns away, what do you think? I own a dozen of these. That's the day I put my badge on the desk.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
We're not the UK.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely not.
You're in the free part of America. Yes, absolutely not.
Midwest, baby. Not restricted. Well,
Do
apart from the
they-
text.
Hey, Chris, I don't think they allow North Carolina officers to carry guns anymore, do they? I think they're on bicycles now, right? Do they still allow that?
Oh, poor
guns
Michael.
from the other guys.
Poor
Just call
Michael.
them
He's
some
having
license
a
to it.
fit right now. He can't type fast enough, can he?
Right.
He's just a glorified dog walker.
Oh, let me tell that son of a bitch something. I will straighten his little narrow ass out.
Oh.
Yes, we carry guns.
Oh.
Hey, Knight, I think you're bigger than he is, anyways. So.
It's true.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
so. I think you could take him.
Yeah, I'm 5'6", 118 pounds. But I will tell you this, Uncle Bill. When I put my Batman belt on and my bulletproof vest, I'd get up to about 125.
Hell
Heck
yeah.
yeah.
Hell
I was
yeah.
a big old guy.
That's right.
Bill, you have any final thoughts?
I'm not gonna follow SWAT theory with all that great stuff, but
Yeah,
Right.
I'll show you the graph if you do.
I know. I just think the most important thing is you have to remember, like, you might go to the same type of call 100 different times, but it's never going to be the same.
Mhm.
So you can't ever get complacent in thinking, oh, I'm just going to the same old stupid call, the same thing's going to happen. That's
Right.
when bad things happen. And Josh and I have said it 100 times. Like, we kind of knew when we were done because we could tell we weren't giving the proper respect to every call when we were going to it. So if you're getting to that point in your career, because I know the last few years have sucked to be a cop. So if you're there, like, you either
You can
need
pick my
to,
state for that.
yeah, you either need to talk to someone and figure out how you're going to change it, or you need to step away because you're either going to put
No, it's
yourself
time
in
to step
danger-
away, Uncle Bill. If they get compliant like that, it's time to
Yeah.
step away.
Yep.
I think so.
There's
too,
nobody to
but-
talk to.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you're either going to get yourself hurt or you're going to get one of your
Partners
partners hurt. And-
Yep.
Can I add something small into that?
Go ahead, man.
My cousin was I've pigeonholed myself, was involved in law enforcement of some sort.
There it is.
And one of the things he taught me is he uses the same, I guess, plan of attack for everything he goes to, whether it be a traffic stop, domestic, OVWI investigation, car crash. His is always look for a reason why you're safe, or show me reasons why I shouldn't draw my gun on you. When you go to the house, like Chris said, or I'm not sorry, not Chris, like Nightcop said, when we pulled up, scan. Our neighbor's sitting behind walls doing this shit. Is somebody sitting inside their car going like this? Is somebody holding their head bleeding? Is somebody trying to leave out the back? Are lights turning off? Are people de-assing the area? Look for things that tell you what kind of call this is. Now, we've all been to domestics where I fucking hate you and I want a divorce and they're not even your kids. Like, you hear that from the outside, it's fine. If nobody's beating the hell out of each other or there's no threats of violence, just take 2 seconds. Look around the house. Make sure the kids aren't hiding on the back of the house. Make sure nobody's trying to break into the house from the side. Make sure there's not, like, shell casings or guns and ammo or something that let you know, hey, there's probably guns in this house.
Yeah.
Just take steps. Observe, think, and then act. Like every call, like you said, if you do that for every single call and look for things that would stand out, it's going to help you not get complacent.
But you know what, SWAT? After most people's been in law enforcement for 5 years, everything you just said, you don't even have to think about it. It's an automatic.
Yeah.
I just know. I just scan. I didn't have to think about it anymore. It was just a natural thing to do. You walk up in somebody's house, I'm scanning. I know where the exit door is. I know where the wife is right now. Hey, how many kids do you? It's natural just to scan.
Yeah, and that's something
don't
that's
have to
hard for
think
me.
about
If people
it.
ask for it, oh, sorry.
No,
I
go
was-
ahead. No, I
I was going to
done.
that's what's hard for me. If people ask for advice, it's like, don't get shot. Like
Yeah,
the stuff you
don't
mentioned,
die.
everything is
Good
just
idea.
it's just, and that's why I like being an FTO. Is just I can see these guys do this shit and go, I got to talk to them about this because I'm going on almost 10 years, and this shit's just reflex. Like, I open a door to a house, I look on both sides of the door. If I show up to a door, does it open in or out? When the door opens, is it going to be an open door? Somebody could stick a gun out the door as soon as they open it, or I have to look around the corner and aim at me. Is there a window here? Is there a skylight? Is there security cameras? Is there a Ring doorbell? Just shit that I think about. Like, okay. I know my approach. I'll get new guys and go, okay, let's go. and they'll just start walking up to this big ass bay window, and you're like, "Stop! What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And it's just things that you don't think about
exactly.
after years.
I absolutely hate those
You know, I
ring
was at-
doorbells.
Oh, I
Same.
didn't. I didn't have them. See, I got out of law enforcement in 2012. They didn't have any of that shit.
Yeah.
So the body cams, all that, there was none of that. I got to call somebody a snapdragon without it being on record. You know, like shut the fuck up, sit down, and then the screen test. You know, oops, there was a dog. And then they've got that zigzag of my cage from sitting back because they slammed their face.
Shit.
I should have charged them with
I'm not done.
damage to government property, the dent they put in my damn cage.
And piggybacking off of off of what SWAT theory said about complacency, a thing I find myself asking myself when I'm on a domestic or something like that is, if I'm especially if you have a partner with you, am I responding to that domestic and the situations that are put in front of us as a cop, or is my partner having to babysit me, or vice versa? Like when you go to a call, it's comforting when like that person pipes up that they're backing you, and you're like, okay, good, we're going as a team, because there's guys that you know how they operate. When they get there, you're just like, I'm gonna have to babysit him because I don't know what's going to happen. Either A, he's going to piss someone off because he just, runs him up, or two, he doesn't have an awareness of his safety. You want to make sure you respond as a cop, being conscious, being aware, scanning, as they say, not being complacent. Catch yourself when you're complacent. Not everyone's perfect. Everyone's going to, walk up and, not scan sometimes, but you have to catch yourself and say, hey, scan. We got to look out for this stuff because it only takes once. It only takes once.
Absolutely.
I am not going to even interject because these gentlemen have all said it. The only thing I'm going to say is, because this is from someone who I highly respected, and he was a cop for 30 years, is my buddy Monty61, who's in stream, and he said his biggest advice is this: get all the training you can, whether from your department or, importantly, on your own dime and time. Learn your craft. Don't be mediocre. That's I think the best thing. That's the best thing.
That's great advice.
And
if you're a cop,
yeah, and go ahead.
If you're a cop, street cop training.
Yeah,
serious.
Exactly. And and like I said, you know what? The only reason why I made it this far, and the only reason why I've been this successful, is because I've always surrounded myself by people who knew their craft, and knowing that I did not know everything, and that there was always other experts out there. And like SWAT theory being on SWAT, is that I did not go to breacher school, but I had a guy who went to breacher school who was the expert. So I relied on his expertise. I didn't pretend to, well, I think we should do it this way. No, it's like, how do you want to get through that door? And that's where, and I know Josh and Bill, you're really big on this, is, when you guys come down in admin, is that's a problem with admin, is you have administrators who feel that they know everything, or they try to pretend to know everything because they think they need to know everything, and they don't realize that you're stronger when you realize you don't know everything and you rely on the experts, because your credibility goes so up when you actually could ask a question. I mean, like a prime example, last night I got the scene, and I think the sergeant thought I was going to take over the scene, and I'm like, okay, what do you got? What are you guys going to do? And he's like, oh yeah, well, this is what we're going to do. Go, fuck it, make it happen. I stood back, I watched the shit show, and it was awesome. I just sat there and I was just like, yeah, this is kind of cool, and the best part about it is I knew I did not have to write a report. That was the best part. It's just like, I get to go back to my desk and do nothing. So, yeah, that's it. Any final thoughts, guys? Because I'm gonna be calling it on my end. I definitely gotta get ready for work here. So, anything?
My final thought is, it'll be cool to see Chris becoming a street cop training instructor someday.
Jesus, no way.
Hey, they have a course, combat life saving.
Oh, do they?
What is it? Yep. Where is it? Life-saving medical tactics for law enforcement.
Oh, I could do that. I'm all about TAC med. I love TAC med. That's actually, if I could take any part of law enforcement that I love the most, it's TAC med. I would love to teach officers to be able to save their lives. That's if that could be my afterlife job, teaching TAC med across the United States to cops, I would be all over that. I'm all over that. And I know Josh and Bill, we talked about that. That's going to be our Yeah, we're gonna be sitting. We're gonna be actually sitting one day in the Bahamas, and we'll be watching Nightcop's stream.
Be like, hey, pina colada, my man, pina colada.
We'll give you a Nightcop. We'll be sure to tip you while you're streaming. Oh, anything? Anybody else?
Nope.
No.
We got it. Just remember, guys, just treat people like people.
Yep.
If you're in law enforcement now, do not be afraid to step back after the call and say, you know what, I fucked that up. Next time, you ain't got to admit it to nobody else. Just, I've done it many a time. You know what, I fucked that up. I think next time I'm not going to handle it. You train yourself a lot of times if you're willing to admit when you're wrong.
Absolutely.
To yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna give a shout out. First of all, if you guys have a Twitch channel, you have to head on over to Twitch and follow Nightcop35. And if you don't have a Twitch channel, make a freaking Twitch channel and go follow Nightcop35. It's that simple. People go, I'm not a Twitch person. I don't really give a shit what kind of person you are. Just freaking go make a Twitch channel. You have an email address, obviously, because you're on YouTube. So you can make a damn Twitch channel and follow him. Get his analytics up. Jesus Christ, the guy almost died for us. So do that.
And use the username Dip Dizzy Whizzle. Come in with that username.
I'm going to make one just up for that one.
How'd you know that was my
Dip
account name?
Dizzy Whizzle.
Right?
Wait a minute.
And don't forget, if you're on YouTube, hit up Only Cops. Only Cops, they're doing. I mean, I love Only Cops, and man, I love the fact that we now live stream and we're collaborating on Tuesdays, which is freaking awesome. And we're also talking about other shit. So head on over to Only Cops, man. Show them a subscribe and like and love their videos. They're awesome. They're legit. Sternal's building up his channel as well. SWAT Theory's been on there for a while. I mean, hit up all their channels, man, and you'll be doing me a solid because I really appreciate these guys. And the cool part is 2022 ended up being the collab year for me. You guys know I stayed away from collaboration for all of 2021, despite everyone trying to. Poor SternalJet kept, let's play. And I was like, yes. and it was like, no. But Fox pulled a fast one on me and had me collaborating. And then we started doing the Ready or Not with Only Cops. And man, it's been a fucking blast. And we have a lot of good times. Our missions suck. I mean, we just utterly start doing some weird shit.
They're fun to watch.
They are fun to watch. I like SWAT Theory, and when him and Yuki get into it, because he can't utterly stand Yuki. So, but no, it's a lot of fun, guys, and I really appreciate you guys joining me again for Coffee with Cops. We're going to definitely change that logo. It's always going to be a different show every other Saturday, and please just show everybody some love. And I'm going to just say I'm out, and I'm just going to tell everyone peace. But I'll let all you gentlemen say your goodbyes, and we're done for today. Guys, bye.
I vote for SWAT as the president of the Glee Club. Coffee with a Cop.
Yes.
We're gonna nominate SWAT.
All right.
And you guys have a super blessed Saturday.
All right, we're out.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. Peace out. Take care of yourselves.